Yeah. So this week, quietly, President Biden agreed to sell Israel a new package of arms, or give them. It's hard to tell. It's murky waters with arms deals. You know how it is. But it seemed like maybe fighter jets and bombs. But just to put it plainly, fighter jets and bombs, because they're running low. I don't know what's been going on, but the same day, there's like an aid group over there that's just there to feed people. And if you look at the biographies of the people who are in this aid group, man, they seem like great people. You know what I mean? Like each of them seems they're not that Chinese astronaut good, but like close.
Yeah,
they're accomplished, well-meaning, just there to feed people. Like they're not flying a flag, okay? And they gave their position to the Israelis, and the Israelis pinpoint precision bombed them with 3 precision-guided munitions and killed 7 of them.
So what I'm hearing is Israel got intel that there were some military-aged men in Hamas-occupied territory, and they neutralized them. What's the problem?
They on the roof of they sent a missile. They sent a missile through the roof. Zach, show them the roof of the car. They sent a missile through the roof of the car. The roof even says, like, I don't know, feed the hungry or some shit like that. Like
it's got their emblem on it, which is like the "Don't bomb us" emblem.
Yeah, it isn't one of those situations.
Was it a bullseye? Did they have a bullseye on the top of their car?
Dude, if they were going for the driver, then cowabunga, dude. Like, goddamn. And you know.
Cowabunga, dude. I haven't heard that since like 96.
Oh, I'm bringing it back.
All right, here it is.
We're gonna bring back all the Bart Simpson colloquialisms.
Wow. Don't have a cow, man. Okay.
Yeah, but you can see right there that it says "Feed the World Kitchen" or whatever.
Yeah,
which is
it did
a known Hamas cover.
I disagree, Taylor. I can't read that.
Yeah, you can infer what was there pretty well. They got a pan with it.
And you know that bomb said USA on the side too. That's
we paid for that.
Yeah, we did. We financed that right there. We
paid for the food they were handing out and for the bomb that killed them.
I don't know who pays for the food that they hand out.
It's a tragedy. Look how happy that guy looks. He's doing okay.
No, that guy's bummed. They just killed the food truck.
I really wish he was wearing
I heard there's a bunch of food
World
in here.
Series jersey or something.
What's the? I mean, I feel foolish even asking. Like, what's the recompense? What's the fallout of this going to be? Nothing at all. Biden will continue to give them everything they want.
Biden had a very strongly worded.
He will give them whatever they want.
Biden had a phone call with Netanyahu today. The results of that were there was a press conference right before we started, so I didn't get to watch it. But I don't know. Probably not much.
Netanyahu assured him that he would finish the job.
We've targeted 15 other food trucks in the region. That is so fucked up. Like,
it is fucked up.
Why?
I know I'm making jokes.
Why are we a part of
comedic devil's advocate, but I'm not a fan of this.
Taylor, freedom don't come free, as they say.
Mm-hmm. You should write that down. Jot that down, huh?
You should.
Jot that. I have a shirt that says it.
You have a shirt that says "Freedom isn't free" with a bombed out foreign aid truck.
No, it says "Freedom don't come free," and it's got George W. on it.
I like that.
Yeah,
using the president's grammar.
I miss the poor grammar. We of Bush when you see like Trump ramble or Biden get lost and confused. It's like, man, Bush was coherent at least. He was just misspeaking. He knew what he wanted to say. He just couldn't get it out. These guys, I don't even know if they know what they want to say.
It's funny that
I'm not going to argue against that. Yeah, no.
For like 10 years, like the media and everyone was just like frothing with like George Bush is a murderer. He's a genocidal murderer. And then 5 years later, it's like, look at this goofy former president hugging Michelle Obama.
You see his paintings? Have you seen his paintings?
I bet they fucking suck.
They're better. They're infinitely better than my paintings.
Wait, no, show us either one of his or one of Hitler's. And we have to
guess.
We have to know which one's better.
I think he paints animals too. He does portraits of people. I've seen those.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give his art. Look, in the grand scale of, let's just say amateur art, I would say he's a 7 out of 10. If we're doing like all art, if like Michelangelo and Da Vinci are 10s, then George Bush is a solid fucking 5. Like he knows what he's doing. Clearly, I can't. I'm so untalented. Like I can't doodle.
We'll see what it looks like.
I think it'd be fun if my wife and I painted each other's portraits and just saw what came of it.
You just treat it like a caricature.
Yeah, I'd be terrible. I haven't picked up a paintbrush since I was a child, but she might be half decent. She just paint by numbers all the time.
I was never good at painting or drawing as a kid.
No,
damn.
Well, this is definitely not Hitler.
Not Hitler. I don't see it.
Yeah.
These are not good.
Is the bottom left?
Excuse me? They're not good?
Do you know any
of
these people?
Excellent.
I think that's Mark Zuckerberg's wife on the bottom right.
Is the bottom center one
that's
Dirk
racist.
Nowitzki?
Dirk.
Oh, Zach said it. Dirk. Yeah. I don't know his name. That Dirk Winsky.
Is it Nowitzki?
Say it better for me.
Nowitzki.
That makes sense if he was an Eastern European guy.
Zach wrote it down.
It might be Dirk Nowitzki, however it's pronounced, spelled, or stated. Everyone else, I have no clue. I thought top left might be like Hillary Clinton's huskier sister.
Yeah.
I thought she might. Who was the female leader of Germany?
Oh, Angela Merkel.
Yes, that's who I'm going for.
Angela Merkel she looked like that.
Yeah, Angela Merkel is much fatter than that. But I mean, it is a painting. Maybe he was trying to be
and uglier.
Who's the bottom left? That guy like coyly biting his tongue.
That's Chris Rock. No.
Chris Rock is not a chubby blonde woman. You're terrible at this, Zach.
Are you still gonna hold that his paintings are good, knowing that that guy in the top is Chris Rock? And
I don't think that's Chris Rock. I think Zach's pulling.
Kyle, I come to you in private and I say I want to show you my Chris Rock painting, and I show that to you. What do you say?
I say that's a real funny joke, Taylor. They don't all look the same. Okay, I've told you once, told you twice. This is the last.
I might
time.
know the top right. Do you remember that really pretty Afghan woman on the cover of Time
the National
magazine?
Geographic pretty.
No,
is it Nat Geo?
This is not her. That's not what this is.
No, that's a different.
I do remember exactly. That lady has green eyes though.
Green or blue, like they were striking.
Green eyes. Yeah, they're beautiful.
These suck, dude.
And you think oh, what a waste of that beauty. And it's like, what were you gonna fuck her? Leave her to a goat herding.
Zach got the answer. That's not Chris Rock. It's Gilbert. Oh,
Gottfried. God. Terrible painting.
Arenas?
I was going to ask you for help. Tuha Banye?
I just said a word. I don't. Okay, I don't know who these people are. They're clearly not famous enough for me to give a fuck about.
Steve Jobs lower left.
My point stands that these are good paintings, infinitely better than anything that any of us would stick onto a canvas. Not
if we really gave it the old college try for like a year or two.
Yeah, maybe if you trained for a year, you could come close to what George Bush can do.
Yeah,
I think that proves my point.
Do you think he's been doing this for 6 months?
Well, he ran the world for like 8 years. I figured he took it up in the last 10.
He was painting. You know, these paintings aren't as good as those paintings that Epstein had on his island of like Bill Clinton in a dress and Bush knocking over the Twin Towers. Those were better done paintings.
Oh, come on, man. Like, that's all right.
All right, fine. This one's much better than any of the other ones.
That's all right. Because you know why? Because we know who he's trying to paint. I bet if we knew those other people, we'd be blown away too.
I got Dirk right away.
You did. And that's the
it
one. It
doesn't help my point, but I also kind of figured out that he was that basketball player.
Credits for honesty.
Yeah.
That's not how he brushes his hair, though. That's a little inaccurate. I don't know about that.
I was going
to... The browner hair in the front center. I just caught that.
And he had Jay Leno's hair going to the wrong direction. Not a guy for detail, I see.
Well, he probably was like mirroring it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like,
right, give us the collection of Hitler portraits. Who did he paint?
You're right. It's inexplicable that I saw Hitler's done a lot of buildings and a lot of animals from what I remember. I remember like not cathedrals, but interesting European architecture, just a building front with a street and some steps.
Rivers. And,
yeah. I think he was more of a landscape guy.
Mm-hmm. What were you saying? What the fuck is? Well, Bush painted this. That can't be what Bush painted.
Yeah.
This looks like a joke.
Oh, of course it is. That would be a wildly inappropriate painting for him. Abu Ghraib being tortured.
Is that what that is?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
they got theirs. I never had a problem with Abu Ghraib. I feel like they needed a little torture, and we were angry after 9/11.
I was too young to be angry.
They couldn't have been more innocent of anything.
That's a blanket fucking everybody, huh?
Yes. None of them had anything to do with it at all.
Yeah, none of them had anything to do with 9/11. And none of them had weapons of mass destruction. At worst, they're guilty of defending their country when we invaded for no reason, based on lies.
Oh, well, that's not true at all. If we're talking about, because you're doing this big blanket if we're talking Abu Ghraib was that prison was it Iraq or Afghanistan? It was in one of those. It was over there. There were plenty of Syrian insurgents and all sorts of like lifelong terrorists who we'd been looking forever, who were coordinating, organizing, and I'll agree with you that maybe the average flip-flop wearing commando with an AK-47 wasn't some wealth of information we need to imprison for 2 decades, but there were some others, mixed in. There?
Yes. How do we know? Because the people doing it.
Well, it's declassified. It's not like these are like top secret things. Like you can watch documentaries about each and every one of them. You can you watch interviews with the CIA operatives who helped take them down. You can hear about like how they were tortured. It's all very open book.
Oh, well, if the CIA says they investigated themselves and it came back okay.
I didn't say anything like that. I said you can watch a YouTube video with the CIA operative who was doing it, and he'll be like, yeah, they tortured him. They did this to him. I caught him this way. Like they'll break down like how they caught those people.
Taylor, the CIA are the finest investigators on earth. The fact that you discredit their work is kind of embarrassing.
It's kind of not patriotic. It's always funny when like they bring a CIA agent on the news and they're like, we have a CIA agent here to say that this war right now is actually very good. And it's like, if you watched Russia Today and like they were like former KGB agent here to confirm what we want them to, you'd be like, oh, that's laughable. But like CIA, you're like, yeah, that makes sense. We had to get those guys. We had to put them on buckets and electrocute their testicles to learn about terror. Like that's what we had to do. Yeah.
Here's if you actually get all curious, it's this guy.
That linked right to a video of a guy's ass.
Did it?
Yes, it went right to a picture of a guy's ass standing there in the prisoner rape section of the article you linked.
They needed a little bit of raping every now and then. Okay. Like I don't know why you're defending the enemies of the United States. Maybe we need to look into your internet search history, see if you're a sympathizer, maybe even funneling money.
They'd be like, oh, this fucking retard.
Wait,
does he do anything but look at build orders?
How do you mention it's a picture of a guy's butt without mentioning the other guy's face clearly pressed against his cock?
That was a big part of the image as well.
Oh, I see the naked images now. That's hilarious. Well, like I don't know what your problem with this is.
The torture part?
Which part of it that is torturous? Who just defines what torture is?
Taylor,
I've been in a couple of cop cars.
Anti-sex here.
If you've ever been shackled and handcuffed,
I'm coming off fucking liberal, and I don't like it.
Yeah, Taylor, you look a little homophobic. Those two prisoners were getting down, and
so the
homophobic. I'm counteracting the liberalism.
So the picture that Taylor takes so much issue with is a few of our country's enemies, and they're being forced to sit in a very embarrassing position, one on his knees with his head in the other's crotch.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and they're all naked.
Well, mostly naked. They have bags on their heads.
Okay, they're not completely unclothed. You guys, touche.
They got their masks on.
You were pretty understanding with that Russian mass shooter the other week. You're like, oh, he did cut his ear off and it make me sad.
Dude, they cut his ear off and they fed it to him. What? Okay, we didn't cut people's ears off and feed them to them at Abu Ghraib. You saw. And that's the other thing. All right,
Abu Ghraib was cool. It was clearly a wild sex party. They're all wearing masks. It's got eyes wide shut vibes. It's dope. I wish I was an Abu Ghraib.
You can't see Nicole Kidman, but she's right out. She's right off the camera. Like
her being there would change my take. Like it was like, oh damn, they got to meet with Nicole Kidman too.
They're all naked and masked up and performing sex acts. This is a good weekend.
I mean, it looks like they're kind of doing what they did with those El Salvadorian gang members.
I'm not into the dogs, but I mean, If you are, that's cool.
No,
Dogs seem happy.
Those dogs eat your face off.
Oh,
I never understood where that stereotype comes from. The like Polish people
being stupid.
I never questioned it as a kid. I just retold the jokes.
Yeah, it's just like, that's good. And I don't know any Poles, and so I choose to believe that.
Yeah,
I knew Tina
honestly,
Zajkowski.
But see, I felt the same way about Jewish jokes because I didn't know any Jews. So like it just kind of I was like, what's a Jew like? I have no idea. No idea what their stereotypes.
You're from where I'm from in Jersey, like a quarter of the neighborhood's Jewish.
Never seen one. Never.
I'm definitely somewhere in between you guys. I knew Jews and I had Jewish buddies growing up. A few I played hockey with, and but definitely not a quarter of the neighborhood. That's a lot of Jews.
Yeah.
There's a huge.
Some might say it's not enough. Like myself,
starving for Jews there. They need more bagel shops.
More Jews I have around me, the safer I feel. I'll tell you that right now. All right,
means you're probably in a good neighborhood, you're underground.
It doesn't get talked about, but I think they've called up like 300,000 or 400,000 reservists over there in Israel for the IDF, and it's not a country of a ton of people. But you might find this interesting, Taylor. There's one group of people who aren't subject to all this militarism, this aggression. The ultra-Orthodox Jews. The fact that that's got to be a self-dubbed, group. We're the ultra-Orthodox Jews.
Yeah.
They don't have to get conscripted into the fucking IDF and do their bit for some reason. And in the midst of this 6-month-long war, there's a lot of people who are like, I think y'all should chip in and do your part. And I agreed, Taylor. I was like, it's horseshit that some group shouldn't be subject to, the responsibilities that everyone else is. And then, Taylor, they had a little video footage over where the ultra-Orthodox is like study. And I was like, whoa, leave them where they are.
What are they doing?
These gentle souls need to stay with their books and avoid dust and any particulates.
A lot of particulates
they
in the air.
Look like Kyle Cousin from South Park, the one who's like, he's vulnerable
Kyle, you see me hit the ball when you're doing that shit.
But it is horse shit though that you've got this one religious group who don't have to go.
Politics are fascinating though. So what it is they used to make up a tiny little portion of the population. So when 0.5% of Israel didn't want to participate in the military, who gave a fuck, right? Like, all right, these little guys will let them study on their books, whatever. Now it's 13% of the population because these people multiply like rabbits, and they're a very like
the Mormons.
It feels like more than 13%. Apparently, their impact on society is really big, and that's made them kind of unpopular amongst the other Israelis. But they're very active voters, and they're all for Netanyahu, which gives them like a lot of political clout. Like, in our country, fucking 13% will make the difference of every election I've ever lived through. Probably even Reagan Mondale. 13% is huge. And they all vote consistently as a block for whoever gives them the shit. And now it's very hard to make them anything but like Israel's welfare recipients because you need their votes.
It is funny to imagine, like, in Israel, like some of those soldiers walking around those neighborhoods and being like, these Jews. Like, just like, they're in Israel.
That's how it is with every group.
Like, guys, come on. Like, you're making us look bad.
That's how it is with every group. I wish that people wanted to talk about, like, race more and weren't so, like, weird about it sometimes. But that we see white people and we're like, fuck you, piece of white trash, piece of shit.
Yeah, it's like, get it together.
Get it to fucking together. Jesus Christ. Why do you have to? Do they just hand meth out at the white trash camp? It's like
brush your teeth.
Brush your fucking teeth. Have better choices when you pick your tattoos, and stop doing methamphetamine and making us all look bad.
Stop being here. What the
hell? And every race is like that. Like I'm sure for like Indians, they look at people with business degrees that don't have science and computer degrees, and they're like, oh, fucking loser. But that I know with black people, Chris Rock's got that whole bit, right? Remember when Michael Scott like tries to redo that bit.
Yeah.
I like to know what's going on. I've been following this Columbia, all the universities. I keep joking. The new Taco Bell Infantata.
Did you see Biden spoke out on it?
What did he say?
You'd approve. He basically said, like, this is a cross section of the right to free speech and violence. And he's like, if you stop someone from going to class, if you're destroying property, that's not free speech. That's not okay.
They took 3 janitors hostage in New York.
That's not free speech. Yeah. I think it was only a couple minutes long, but I walked away being like, well, this doesn't change anything, but I agree with him.
Yeah, well, they're calling him Genocide Joe, so he doesn't have to worry about losing that part of his base anymore. The far left is not down with Joe Biden. I'm not saying they're down with Donald Trump either. Most of them can't vote and don't know how to. They're busy smoking doobies out there at
those
the Columbia parking lot.
Doobies.
You see those?
They need some. It's the opposite of that, honestly. Though those kids need to get fucking high. They are way too high strung about this shit.
Did you see those frat kids who I
guess sent you the picture.
At UNC?
Yeah. They kept the American flag up, and then I saw a clip of like some fat pink-haired bitch coming up to him and being like, "You're fucking insert a million buzzwords, fascist, racist, something phobe." And then one of the frat guys is like, "Lose some weight, you fat pig." And it's like every comment's like based, like this. And it's so funny to see the frat guys just partying, having a good time, keeping the American.
Yeah, the gloves have been once you're standing under a flagpole being pelted with rocks and drinks and beer for an hour or so, you defending the American flag from your fellow students. Gloves are off with the verbal insults, I think, at that point. Yeah.
My wife and I were talking about it. We were just disgusted by people taking down the American flag and putting up a Palestinian one. It doesn't sit right with us.
Well, I liked seeing the NYPD come in and like fix that, like taking down the Palestinian flag. I love here in Georgia, in Atlanta, at Emory University, they had a big shit show, whatever. That's where you might have seen I'm a professor of economics as she gets fucking tossed to the ground, and they're like, look at them, they slammed her head on the concrete.
But only once.
No, not even once. Like, she landed on the grass and her head was over the concrete and her face may have touched it, but like, you get slammed on the concrete, you don't wake up for a while. This big bitch is crying. And they're like, I don't fucking care, ma'am. I'm a Georgia State Patrol member. They're locking them the fuck up. It's great. Really enjoy it. I get what they're trying to do. I don't like seeing Palestinian babies fucking 4th degree burns so that you can see them looking like a piece of meat in a window. That's just disgusting. I hate that that's happening. But, as Woody always says when this comes around, fuck around and find out, right? Woody, he says they deserved it.
I watched a podcast of
especially the children.
The guy was from the right, but he's a never Trumper, so I don't know if you still consider him from the right. And anyway, he compared it to the Reddit subreddit Am I the Asshole? And he's like, everybody sucks here. It's really hard to defend what's happening to the Palestinians. It's really hard to defend what's happening to the Israelis. It's like everybody sucks here.
Yeah, and you can't file like walk a thin line between. You're almost not allowed to say, I don't want genocide in Palestine. I don't want babies burnt. I don't want aid workers directly targeted. That's the thing that gets me. That's the thing I really don't like. Because look, if the Mexicans came over and did what they did to us in southern Texas, things would get rough. But they wouldn't be like this. Aid would be getting to the people. The children wouldn't be targeted. You wouldn't have people with their hands behind their back shot and thrown in a pit. We'd ship them to another country and let that happen over there, away from prying eyes.
That's what I'm not saying those for.
It's not that how evil they're being or how awful they're being. It's how flagrantly they're doing it. It's they know that there's no breaks for them, that nobody's going to tell them to stop.
America's going to keep giving them money. They can do whatever the fuck they want.
But on the other hand, that October 7th thing was not cool. And whatever happens is directly because that happened. So know that as you suffer.
Biden rightly is taking a lot of heat for what's happening because we're still supporting Israel, right? So you are
big time
tacitly supporting all the bad stuff. That
seen the pier we're building?
Wait, there's more. Trump, on the other hand, his thing is like, well, what Israel's doing wrong, they have a PR problem. They need to put some better videos out there. And I'm like, You don't sound like Genocide Joe. We got Genocide Don over here too. Like he says Israel needs to finish the job.
Doesn't have the same ring to it.
Put some. I know it doesn't, but he needs to make sure that while Israel does this, they should take some videos of them like feeding puppies or something. Yeah. And I'm like, this is not a better.
All of our politicians just have a fucking boner for Israel. Like they will say, not like, do you see the shit like making like laws about anti-Semitism now, where like it's like they get so riled up. Anything about like a Republican from fucking Arkansas, they'll be like, hey, in the past few years, like 100,000 people have died of like overdoses that are preventable in your state, and he'll be like, that's a damn shame. And then someone on a college campus will be like, I don't like this Israel stuff. And he'll be like, we need to shut down the ability to speak. I'm doing Lindsey Graham, by the way. And we need Israel's my greatest ally, and I will be killed before I say anything otherwise. And it's like, what the fuck? Like, why are you this vehement about a foreign country? Like this is ridiculous.
I hate all those hate crime laws. Like I don't know. Like if you say beat up a guy on the street just because you don't like his hairstyle, and you beat up another guy because he's Jewish or black or whatever, same penalty, same crime. There shouldn't be like a double down penalty because this guy's a protected group.
Agreed. Like even like I think my Missouri guy, Josh Hawley, has said stuff where he's like, I will always support Israel. You can never stop me from it. And it's like, whoa. You're an American elected official. You shouldn't be saying this shit about any foreign country. If like something is better for
like
Americans,
as a member of the IDF though, right? Like isn't that the guy that wore his IDF uniform?
I have no idea about
is
that.
He?
Is
he?
Really?
I'm asking. Like one of the congressmen wore his IDF uniform after one of the squad flew the Palestinian flag.
Oh, maybe it is him. I don't know. But like seeing American politicians be that vehement and being like, I will never stop supporting this foreign country is like, well, what the hell? Like that shouldn't be your number one priority. You're an American.
I only care about the war in Ukraine. That's the only one that's
old hat. Like, that's old.
Surely they do.
Oh yeah, kids are still getting spanked.
I
don't think it was as common as when we were kids though, because like I have a lot of friends with young kids, and I don't think they're really leaning into spanking at all.
Zach, find out if people hit their kids anymore. This could be the whole problem.
Broken down demographically.
We might just solve this whole university riot thing.
Yeah, you think it's because those kids didn't get popped in the nose?
I did see him throwing down the other night because some counter protesters, they called them Zionists. The Zionists showed up, Taylor. Oh, wouldn't you know it? All the Zionists, they have a club, I suppose. But they showed up and they started tearing the encampment apart. They started tearing the encampment down and like going fisticuffs with the people that were in the encampment. So you got one group of people pulling the trash they've made walls out of, and the other one pulling it the other way, and then people just like beating the shit out of each other with flags and stuff. It's great. Man,
those are two sides that I don't want to.
Everybody sucks here.
I saw the Patriot Front was out. Do you know what Patriot Front is, or the Patriot Front?
I do not know. I bet I can guess based on the name.
Let me say
it
this.
Like Proud Boys?
Yeah, it is. I tried to well, at least that's what big global media would have you believe. I tried to Google Patriot Front, and the first like page of results was all like this law center or like that law center's opinion on them. Oh, these people are bad. It was one article after another, like people letting me know that I should just steer clear. And then finally I was like, oh, here's their website, and it's just like they're like selling T-shirts that are in poor taste. That's all I could say.
Yeah, you're right. The first results are Anti-Defamation League, Southern Poverty Law Center, Anti-Defamation League again.
Yeah.
They got two?
They're pretty far down. Just looking at it, I'd say the 18th result is them. But the Wikipedia page on Patriot Front is pretty high.
Yeah.
What's their actual website? Is it .us? That's on brand.
Yeah.
But yeah, I saw those guys were marching the other day. Those are the dudes that show up wearing like khakis and polos and masks.
I mean, nothing wrong with khakis.
You know, to be honest, I do like their outfits. I can't get past that. They usually wear a blue shirt, I think, and khaki pants.
Sharp-looking group of guys.
I mean, the Antifa guys, with the bandanas and the mismatched ragtag crew.
If they went to those shorts you wear, could you see yourself just like blending right on in?
The shorts I wear, like I'm in golf shorts.
Oh, I guess you don't
lately.
wear those shorts anymore.
Either the plaid ones from like 15
yeah.
years ago.
When I in my mind's eye, the Woody image is wearing those for sure.
I saw some guy who was Woody's gamer tag for Halloween, and he wore those shorts. And mandals.
yeah, and mandals. I rock the mandals, but yeah, I didn't know what the Patriot Front was, and I just wanted to learn. And the internet was like, "Don't take their word for it. Listen to us. Don't go there." And when I got there, I couldn't find any propaganda. Like I said, it was just T-shirts and hats in poor taste.
Don't go there. Listen to the people who thought that the OK sign was white supremacy. They are the experts on this sort of thing.
I don't know. I definitely don't want to listen to the people that thought that pizza parlor had kids in the basement either.
It ended up that
there was no basement.
Turns out they went to the wrong pizza parlor.
No, the whole thing was completely not true. Remotely,
I don't remember.
Sure,
like Alex Jones level insanity.
Oh yeah, and it's just a coincidence. Another off that onto another little conspiracy theory. It's the Boeing whistleblower. That's the one that died again this week.
You know,
there's a picture of this guy.
Heart attacks left and right.
It's not that. This one is like fishy as fuck. They're like they called it an extremely aggressive disease that took him, and they show a picture of him, Woody, and he's like a 35 to 38-year-old very fit man. Like it's and he was their second whistleblower that's like,
you know, Kyle, this happens a lot. I see it in Russia too.
Holy shit.
Yeah,
don't mess with
you go
Boeing.
against authority, and sometimes accidents happen.
I didn't know Boeing was down like that, though. I didn't know that they took people out.
It does look fishy.
It's one of the biggest military companies on Earth, and you didn't think they take people out for whistleblowing?
No,
I did. And by the way, I think they're blowing the whistle on like 777s. What is it? 87s? No, the 737, the Supermax. I said it right.
Yeah, I don't know which planes, but I keep hearing about Boeing planes with issues and doors flying off and engines exploding and shit. And I don't know what's happening to this generation of technology, because planes I always thought were so foolproof that the idea of even worrying about it was like having a silly phobia. Like you might as well be afraid of heights when you're in the plane as much as the plane failing.
It seems like the FAA and the plane manufacturers are more like partners than adversaries, and that needs to change. It should be like speeders and police. That's the relationship they should have, not just two people working together.
Yeah, it should be regulating and keeping an eye on them and looking over their shoulder all the time to make sure they're not cutting corners on airplanes. I don't know. I'm not one of those people that ever minded when you see all that tape on them either, because I know that's not like structural tape. They're just trying to make the thing cut through the air a little bit better. But holy fuck, the engine explodes, or the one the other day, the fucking ramp flew off or something. Like it deployed midair and blew away, and they're like, "Oh, we got to go back. We lost the ramp." It's like, what? Like, how is that shit happening?
Yeah, I don't know. It's pretty wild. I wonder if Airbus is better.
I don't know.
Or if they just have better PR. They don't have the same whistleblowers. Like,
I don't think
airplanes are complicated to make.
The same mechanical failures, have they? Or at least
I'm
not
just
of late.
shocked that dude. Like, I want to know what killed that guy. Like, I want to see his. I want them to do an autopsy, because the wording of the article was bizarre. It called it like some rapid moving illness or disease or something. Like something he got this week that killed him.
Yeah, I wonder what it was.
Like, if you get sick today and you're dead in 3 days, Taylor, we're going to look into that. We need to figure out what Taylor caught.
Yeah, because it's probably very serious. And it's probably not just going to affect me.
In good health, noted for having a healthy lifestyle. He was in critical condition for 2 weeks. He alleged serious and gross misconduct by the senior quality management of the 737 production line. He was fired recently. He was intubated and developed pneumonia from a serious bacterial infection, MRSA. Oh, MRSA is a pretty big deal. Cisco wouldn't hire her. If they saw her account, her social media thing, her career in the Fortune 500 is over before it started.
I'm glad
she has nothing going on.
Did you see Mr. Do you know who Mr. Fantastic is?
He's one of the
Sharks, the superhero.
Yeah, he's the one that stretches.
He's one of the sharks from Shark.
Oh, the bald guy who's like, no, I'm not. I'll buy. I'll give you $150,000 for 15% equity. Like,
yeah,
I'm gonna want
I do know who he is
over
now.
3 years.
I might be thinking of Mr. I don't know.
He might be something else, but what, he's something like that. So he's got a stupid fucking name that clearly he gave himself. But they were interviewing him about the Columbia thing, and he's like, "Oh, you love to see it, don't you? Let me tell you how this works. In a Fortune 500 company, we do a deep dive. We spend about $5,000 to a third-party company. They use artificial intelligence. They use everything at their grasp to find anything and everything about you. You're out there right now with a mask on and think we don't know that you're burning an American flag, that you're raising a Palestinian flag. I can see your eyeballs in 4K. You're not getting a job here. You're not getting a job anywhere." It was like, oh, shit.
I mean, a lot of them are wearing masks. They're trying to hide their identity. Do you think that'll work?
It used to work back in the 60s and 70s because it was only recorded on 16 millimeter film. Today, all of this video security cameras are at 1080p and 4K resolution, extremely high resolution that allows you to use AI protocols to identify people by the iris or just a partial exposure of the face. Do you ever wonder how they captured every single person that marched on the Hill and the insurgents? Now, whether they arrested or not didn't matter, but every single individual on that hill eventually was identified using this AI technology today. It's very available. It's inexpensive. And I use it as an employer every time we have a candidate in the executive suite. We do a deep dive and we find out where you came. We're looking for what you say on your resume matching your reality of your life. And obviously, I don't care what side you're on in the protest, but if you're fighting police, burning flags, wrecking properties, breaking through windows, I'm going to know that. And so is the government, so is everybody else. So think about that. That's all I'm telling these young people. Think about it, because it's not free.
That's terrifying. That's
yeah, really I'm not current on that. I want to be like, that's not what we do 15 years ago, right? I don't know.
Yeah, I think it is what they do if it's a real position that you got to keep in mind. They're protesting at Columbia. You know, these are future movers and shakers.
Potentially, yeah.
They're not looking for a middle of the road job. These are guys trying to really hit a home run after their education. You would imagine, after spending $100,000 a year or whatever Columbia costs.
Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully they're not running fucking eyeball analysis on everyone.
Sure,
I have two friends that went to Columbia.
There's all sorts of biometrics. They can they measure your gait now. Like you can't even walk. You could be in a full like suit with your head covered up, and they would see how your arms swing and how you walk, your gait.
I skip everywhere. They'll never.
They would have you down. They're like, the biometrics would immediately the skipper. That's him.
The skipper. Ooh, that's cool. I'm like, I skip around the protest. I'm like, that's him. That's the skipper. What side's he on? No one knows. He's just really frustrating to deal with. He's got a whole pocket full of flags. Some of them not even relevant.
Think skipping was an efficient mode of transport when you were young, or is that just me?
Someone told me at some point when I was a kid that skipping was faster than walking and also used less energy than walking, which I realize now to be a lie that like an adult strung me along with because he thought I looked like a fucking idiot skipping.
I thought skipping was the most efficient mode of transport. Running is exhausting. Even young Woody would run for whatever, half a mile and be all sweaty and tired. Walking is slow and boring, but I found skipping to be that happy medium. The thing is, it's uncool. So anytime I had to go more than like a mile or so, I'm just resisting the urge to skip, maybe looking around to see if I could skip in privacy. I would skip through the woods because, I don't know. No one's looking. No one's there.
You had your own sort of Anne Frank journey.
That's a great line.
You just had to skip about in private. That's what she was so upset about up there. She just wanted to get moving. They were like, "Hey, fucking calm down. The Nazis are right outside, bitch. Get to writing." Write a bunch of weird shit in that journal that we're gonna have to take out later before we make kids read it.
Yeah,
I bet they put
Damn,
stuff
Woody,
back
you know,
in
just
these
like
days,
the
though.
just like the eyeball analysis, Woody. If we try and start a red pill podcast and they show clips of you skipping, we're done. We're gonna be Pearly Things and Andrew Tate. They're gonna bully us. They're gonna be like, look at these fruits skipping.
Andrew Tate would bully me. He's a good speaker and he's a tough guy. I don't have anything to offer.
Andrew Tate coming to you live from an Albanian prison, right?
Well, I think that like in some of those Arab places, like the cleaning lady in your building is like an indentured. And I know they did that thing when they were building the arena for the World Cup where I'm going to get the nationalities wrong, but it seemed like they allowed all these foreign workers to come in, but then they decided that their papers weren't good enough to go home anymore. And so you're just stuck. It's like, where are you going to go?
I remember hearing about this.
They essentially entrapped, enslaved all of those.
Which country?
Qatar, right?
Qatar.
Oh, this is current.
When they were building the thing for the World Cup. That's the way I remember. This is like 6, 7, 8 years ago when these stories were coming out.
I heard they
complaining.
took their paperwork so they couldn't quit the job. I might be wrong.
Yeah,
that's what I heard. Yeah.
By some means, they made it so they couldn't leave. You know, once they had already came.
There's lots of good parts about Qatar too that the media won't tell us. Let's look up.
I just saw Jackie. She said, "My sword, hold your hats, is worth between $70 and $90, making it the most valuable sword on the show."
Oh, by an infinite measure.
Well, by $70 to $90.
Yeah. Percentage-wise, you have a sword worth billions the time of our combined swords.
But every sword you should name your sword. I feel like that was a big part of Game of Thrones.
Ooh, yes. We'll name it
Cheapskate.
Discount.
What country makes those have you ever seen those like Arab films where it's like a guy who looks like Wings of Redemption in a chic outfit and he's like, "You must never allow a woman to speak to you in public," like that, like those kinds of lessons. Have you not seen
Hollywood, I guess?
What are we talking about?
Is it called Memory TV? Yes, it is. I've seen clips of these guys on like on Twitter, and it's like an Arab, some sort of news station. I don't actually know what country it's from, but they will have guys on there will be like, "Now next guest is Mohammed bin Mohammed to tell us about the evil scourge of Jews." And then he'll get on there and he'll just be like, "Thank you so much for having me. Anyway, these guys, I've had it. I've had more than my fill of these Jews." And it's like a whole
it real
news segment. It's so wild. I can't tell if it's like a Spinal Tap thing or if it's like a real, if it was like if there was a military operation to make the people in that corner of the world look as bad as possible, it would be this.
It's like the way Sacha Baron Cohen went after Kazakhstan to the point where they had to do like a $30 million ad campaign to prove that they weren't the awful thing that he was saying they were. You know, he did a fake thing where he pretended to like blow their president, and they had to like tell their people that was not the president, that guy in that suit. That was because they shot it at an angle and they announced the president was there, and then Borat got on his knees to apologize and started kissing the president's crotch. Like that's a Kazaki apology. You kissed their crotch. So he's just kissing the front of his pants profusely. And then it's aired in Kazakhstan, and they're like, "Was that really the fucking president? Did Borat just kiss his?" And they have this big campaign like that did not happen. Like that was not real. President did not get kissed on the crotch by Borat. They were so embarrassed by that because he made fun of them in ridiculous ways, but he really wasn't that far off. Like one of their, not their national drink, but a drink they drink there, surely in the rural areas, is fermented goat milk. But he said it was goat piss. And it's like, it's so close that like when you hear the truth, you're like, that's still pretty weird.
Yeah. Fermented milk.
It's wild.
So then when they defend themselves, "We do not drink goat piss. We drink fermented goat milk." Well, that's still weird. Like you have a hard time defending yourself.
It's way better than the piss. But
it's way better than the piss.
It's because it is a drinkable fluid. Dude, that memory thing I just was saying. Look at the Wikipedia link I just posted for that memory TV. I'm so glad I thought of this randomly. It stands for Middle East Media Research Institute.
Oh dear.
Is an American nonprofit press monitoring and analysis organization that was co-founded by Israeli ex-intelligence officer Yigal Karman and Israeli-American political scientist Meirav Wormser in 1997. Critics describe Memory as a strongly pro-Israel advocacy group that, in spite of describing itself as being independent and nonpartisan in nature, aims to portray the Arab world and the Muslim world in a negative light by producing and disseminating incomplete or inaccurate translations of the original versions of the media reports that it republishes.
This is propaganda.
This is literally propaganda.
You can't trust Israeli ex-intelligence officers. Who can you trust?
They don't present themselves that way. They present themselves as like Arabs with Arab takes, and then I'm sure they sucker other Arabs in, and then like amplify what they mean. And you know how it is. If everyone's laughing, you might like, you know what? Let's burn them all. Not just the bad ones, but the women and the children. And the whole room is like, fuck, yeah, somebody. Get. And you're like, yeah, they love me. Like, I feel like that's what that is.
Because that's like, literally the only clips I've ever seen of this organization is shit of like an Arab guy sitting there. And it's always like a 1-minute clip saying things like, women are merely property. They are nothing to us. Go about your day. And if they give you lip, you remove the attitude. Like just like shit like that. And so, wow, this is a literal propaganda organization.
Well, you hate to see it. I'm glad we found that out. So, you watching on YouTube or like TikTok?
I've seen clips of it on Twitter where there's literally a big fat guy who does look a ton like Wings of Redemption. I bet I can find him. I bet I can find the big fat Memory TV guy.
Show me Terror Wings.
I'm gonna find it. Zach, pull up Wings of Redemption Memory TV Arab.
Can't be the first person to make this observation to make the link.
There's no way, because it just was on Wikipedia in 2 seconds.
Jesus Christ.
Memory TV. Come on, I have to find the fucking Wings of Redemption Arab.
Well, see, I don't like that because I feel like my prejudices against Arabs are well founded and have no holes in them. But when you throw something like this at me, it seems like our great friend Israel may have deceived us in this one instance. And I'm sure they didn't mean it in a bad way. They were just trying. Maybe it was a mistake.
Just a long, drawn out mistake.
Yeah, they're going into Rafah right now, and Biden's delaying their weapon shipment. Ooh, it's tough stance, Biden.
Do they go into Rafah, or they're?
My understanding was they were rolling tanks into Rafah. I thought that had been ongoing.
I'm not at all trying to say you're wrong. I only heard the Biden take on it, which was like, if you roll in there full scale, whatever that means, then the American weapons stop.
I get clips of their like, you never know which show you're watching. It's an Arab TV show, but I can't scale it with like, is this the Bill Maher of and it's not Arab, it's Israeli. I don't know if this is the Bill Maher of Israel. I don't know if this is like the Jimmy Kimmel of them, or I don't know if this is just some guy who showed up tonight as a guest. But here this lady is, oh, you don't want to give us the laser guided bombs? We'll use the non-guided bombs. We'll blow up 10 neighborhoods instead of one, 10 neighborhoods instead of one, 10 schools instead of one. Let's use the dumb bombs. Sure, we have plenty of those. And it's just like, damn, I wonder who this. I hope that's not the feelings at higher levels.
ארצות הברית מאיימת שלא תיתן לנו טילים מדויקים. וואלה, יש לי חדשות לארצות הברית. יש לנו טילים לא מדויקים. ויש לנו את הזכות להתגונן. אז אולי במקום להשתמש בטיל מדויק ולהוריד חדר ספציפי, או בניין ספציפי, אני אשתמש בטילים הלא מדויקים שלי. ואני פשוט אמוטט 10 בניינים. 10 בניינים. 10 בניינים. זה מה שאני אעשה.
That doesn't sound good.
I don't know. I heard it and I thought, I guess Genocide Joe doesn't like his nickname. So he's like pulling support to some extent. I don't know.
Honestly, how confident are you in the Joe Biden victory as we sit here today? I feel like it's good to every now and then take the temperature in the room, because there was a moment a few weeks ago where I felt like it was swinging back his way. Polls aside, I felt like there was a little bit of like, man, it's all there's a lot of Trump negative stuff, and and Biden is clear. Someone on his team or him, maybe it's his directive, like, hey, find me some good things for the news. And when you open the paper, you should hear about something the president's done for the people today. That's what it's felt like the last few months. Like every week there's a new good thing that he's done. I don't know, some free school lunches or getting lead out of the pipes. They're doing that. It's like, fuck yeah, let's get that lead out of the pipes.
Yeah,
I don't know.
April 10th to April 20th. I just looked at it. I pulled it up. He was leading in the polls. And Trump had been leading so long, I saw it as this big reversal. It was sort of a rebound, or I guess, new state of affairs out of that State of the Union, which went pretty well for him. Even the Republicans were like, he took a fucking Red Bull. It's not fair. And it's like, well, if that's your comeback, then we all admit he did a good job, right?
Yep.
And that seems to have passed. Now I see Trump leading in the polls. And it's close, but it's always close. It wasn't like Biden was leading by a lot. And I'm sorry.
I just want to say the Republicans don't know how to spin. They don't know how to spin. Like they did exactly what you said. They said, clearly he's on so much caffeine. Why is he so loud, boisterous, and getting his points across so strongly? That's not my kind of president. It's like, that was literally
the Republicans are so retarded.
What you should have said is like, I think I've seen this before somewhere. And then we throw up that image of Hitler rocking at the fucking Olympics. And then we look into Biden's entire background. Everybody that works the White, we find a doctor. We find any medical doctor in there who could maybe prescribe these. And then you just say, I'm just asking questions. Dr. Phillips here. Why are you working in the newsroom back there? Why are you stamping stamps? You could be at a hospital or at a private practice. This is the main, whoever Hitler's like doctor, I'd use that. I'd draw all those comparisons. I'd make Biden a Hitler who's getting amped up by his secret doctor in the back. Instead, they were just like, he's too energetic. It's intimidating. Like, what are you doing?
Dude, the Democrats are so much better at politics. It's wild to watch the Republicans. They're just floundering retards.
It's funny because I sometimes feel the other way. Like I think Trump in particular does things every day that would sink anybody else. And I'm like, is there something about him that's working for him? Is this a video or
I don't know. He said
this is the kind of shit that like you will see in the subtitles on Memory TV. Your book, you wrote that Tom and Jerry were created by the ancient Egyptians.
Right. Well, I can believe that. Well, hang on. Like I every now and then I'll hear something absurd like that, and I'll be like, show me. And it'll be like, oh, the Egyptians do have this cartoon here of a cat that chases a mouse and gets dumbfounded twice. That's Tom and Jerry. Okay. Like
you know what? Kyle's question in seconds. Win the House, toss up on the president, lose the Senate. That's my guess.
I've given no thought to Congress. I just feel like if Trump loses, then he is in a lot more legal trouble. If he wins, then his legal trouble is over. Like that's the way I see that, because he'll be whoever his VP is can pardon him if need be. But he can just pardon himself probably of what he's done. Like the attorney general is going to be busy attacking the Bidens as well. Like he's going to direct his attorney general to weaponize the judicial system and go after anybody on the Biden side, because he hates what's happening right now. Whatever he says, this is not the guy who's been up at the crack of dawn working all day. This is one of those guys who takes a nap in the middle of the day. They've got him at those fucking early morning court appearances that he can't nope out of. He doesn't get to sleep in one day.
In public, falling asleep, farting himself awake.
I don't believe any of that.
Yeah, that's like, I mean, it's funny.
Why would they make it up?
Why would they make it up other than all the other nonsense they've made up for the past decade?
I heard Biden pooped himself. Trump said he pooped himself a few weeks ago, and now they're coming back at him with the same thing.
I can't tell you, but it was widely reported that this happened.
Of course, of course it was.
Do you believe the falling asleep part?
The media hates
I believe the closing his eyes and sitting there part, and I don't know if he fell asleep or not, and I also don't know if I care if he fell asleep or not, because it's not like they're asking questions.
I heard someone explain it, and this person I think was attempting to be unbiased, and they're like, in fairness, this courtroom is not like modern HVAC, and it is always either freezing cold in there or too warm, and it can put you to sleep. It made sense.
I don't know. I think it's wild that we have a national news apparatus that's like, this guy who's being clearly targeted by his political opponents in an election season has stinky farts. More after this on the extent of his stinky farts.
Did you see the makeup of NPR? It was like 27 out of 29 Democrats. It's like, how is this national public radio funded federally? Why can't we get more than 2 like conservatives on NPR? Like, you don't think that shapes their viewpoints?
I think you're right. I watch a lot of NPR. I would actually bet the house I watch more NPR than you guys combined.
You do?
Yep, anything more than 0.
Probably 15 minutes a day on average, 20 minutes a day.
Ton.
And they do a pretty good job. There's one guy on there who's clearly progressive, and there's another guy on there he's supposed to be conservative, but I find him kind of unbiased. You know, he's not in the bag for anybody.
He's their version of a conservative.
Yeah. So like a toothless, like
Bill Maher's too
really
right-wing
smart, and he's senior. He's like been on the show longer than the progressive guy, and he's like the authoritative voice. The progressive guy is the new guy, and I think if you watched it, I think you can watch it and exit it as better informed, and that's one of my big things. I watch Brian Tyler Cohen. I don't know if you know him, but he's a YouTuber and he talks about politics every day. Okay. And he is so in the bag for liberals that I don't feel like I'm better informed. You watch him long enough and you're like, what? That Trump's goat is cooked? Is that a term?
It's the cognitive dissonance. It's
for like here's the biggest 1,000th time. It's a lie.
The biggest problem is that neither side will even allow themselves to see through the other side's eyes. I just keep seeing the left-wing take on a right-wing action and how they're like, look at them. They want to enslave women. No, they think you're murdering babies.
Mm-hmm.
They don't see it as healthcare. They see it as murder.
I watch so much.
And that bounce goes in one ear and comes out the other. And it's like, yeah, they want to enslave us. Us. They want to know what our pussies are doing. I want to know less about what your pussy does, frankly. I've been enjoying the student encampments because in most cases, like here in Georgia and Atlanta at Emory University, they just sent the Georgia State Patrol in. That's that video of the really stout cop picking the femboy up and just like
beautiful,
deadlifting him and walking away as he's like, he can't believe he just got picked up.
The only clip I've seen like that I really got a true laugh out of at those protests was like all those like drunk frat guys, and then like some fat pig of a woman comes up and like is trying to engage them in like a discussion about, not really a discussion where she gets to scold someone for as long as she pleases, which is her idea of a discussion, I'm sure. And like immediately like and you can hear in his voice, he's like, 9 Coors Bankies deep. And she's like, you guys are fascists. And he's like, lose some weight, you fucking pig. You fat pig. And
is that the one where the guy was allegedly making ape sounds?
No, that was a different one.
That may have been a different one. He was. I mean, that's a safe allegation.
Like
it reminded me of that scene from Black Panther.
There's and then there's like, oh, look at me. It
was both
genre.
He really went at it. And he seemed to have some hatred in his eyes, if I do say so myself. But she was a big fat cow who was stepping to them saying some crazy shit too. She was saying like death to America probably or something about Palestine. So I don't know. What, you get her feelings hurt?
Yeah, I can't get on board with the
That's what he was going for.
He really should have went with bovine sounds, right? He should have mooed at her.
Oh, if you moo at her, you can't be mad at that. Yeah.
Right?
That's think they wouldn't be mad at that? They're mad about everything, dude.
The fatties aren't as well protected as.
But
that's
like,
they're very well protected.
When you're projecting a sound
from my
something with like it's got more than moo. Like moo is kind of soothing.
Yeah.
You need like a ha ha ha.
You're right. It's hard to go with herbivore attack lines.
You're right. He made the right move. Yeah.
I went to that thing. I went to the Columbia one dressed as a liberal, and I talked to some of them. And I used to do this character, Miles McInnes, my twin brother, who's a liberal. And but Miles has the courage of his convictions, and he'll argue with you. And I realized my fake character is too cool for these people. They won't say their opinions. They direct you over to someone who is media trained.
Yep.
And the guy who's media trained was talking on I don't know, YouTube or TikTok or something about how all Zionists need to die. And then all racists need to die. And you're like, that's a lot of people that especially your definition of racist is like someone who voted for Trump.
It's
so
every white person.
Kill half the country and you're media trained. I went up to these two guys. They were guarding one of the gates that went into the encampment. And I was like, can I talk to you guys? And they're like, we have someone who's trained in media. And they go, yeah, you're an adult male at college. You're trained in media. This is just saying what you think. And they go, they just kept repeating the same thing like a robot. And they each had their own individual umbrella because it was kind of misting that day. Not raining, but like
they were ready for it.
Wait,
and I look at them.
You want them to you say it like it's gay, but it's more gay to share an umbrella.
I mean, all right. So hear me out here.
It's gay to use an umbrella. You wear an umbrella in Glasgow, you're a dead man.
You can't riot with an umbrella. Like, are you here to do business or not? You know,
sometimes Antifa will get the big black ones to stop you recording. This was the one your aunt has in her purse. Like it folded out to about this big. Yeah. And it's probably like this when it's all folded up. And I go, guys, I broke character. I was like, guys, it's not raining, you. And they both like go, oh, and they undo their umbrella.
they undid their umbrella when you called them out.
Yeah,
damn, they need to have the courage of their convictions.
It wasn't raining at all. There, you know what there was? There was tons of ugly Asian girls, like uncool Asian girls, the kind that you don't even like beat off to.
The flat-faced ones.
Yeah, then the badly dressed ones, you know.
I hate that.
Not even good at math.
I realize that these girls they're like good drivers. Like, they're not real Asian.
I think you're just a fat Mexican in disguise.
Maybe you're just a white girl with black hair that's really stoned.
Yeah.
But
just a sleepy white girl.
Yeah, you just are you Asian or did you just wake up? Actually, some journalist was over at my house recently, and he was from Germany, and he my kids look Asian because they're Native American, and he said to my son, he's like, "Hello, how are you doing, little boy?" And he goes, "Fine," and he goes, "Did you just wake up?" He's like, I'm like, you're being racist, right? He was a lefty there to do a hit piece too. But anyway, I saw these Asian chicks and I realized this is just fashion.
Two of the worst security guards you can imagine that they drafted from the student body will be standing by some refuse they've stacked together and like not allowing entry to anyone, any students, any media, any just person. And it's it's public university. There's no inch of that place you shouldn't be able to walk around on, regardless of who you are.
Yeah.
And then again, they're like, "What do you think about all of the Israeli women who were raped, for example? Do you think those sex crimes matter?" And they're like, "You want to talk to Dave over there? He's the media guy. Talk to Dave." And it's like, I want to talk to you. I'm talking to the people who are out here with masks, holding, chaining everything up and super gluing locks and shit and locking everything down. No, you want to talk to Dave. He talks for us. You
know why? They know they're going to be humiliated. They know you're going to say something like, what's the population of Palestine? What's the population of Israel? Do you know where they treat gays in Gaza? And they're going to have nothing. And they don't want to. And this has been going on for a while. Remember, they used to have debates with right and left. You had Richard Spencer on ESPN. You had David Duke on CNN. They used to talk to the right. But now they're so bad at knowing stuff. I think the term is stupid. That they say don't give Nazis a platform.
The kids in general are at a disadvantage.
And everyone's
I've been listening, and I'm like, all these kids don't know anything. Whatever political beliefs they have, they've had for 6 months. They're 19 years old.
They don't know from the river to the sea. They have no idea.
That's going to be true of the
is.
Right as well. Like 19-year-olds just don't have the depth of background typically to argue their point.
Conservative 19-year-olds know a fuck ton more than liberal 19-year-olds.
I can't prove it either way, but
here's why he's right. It's fashionable. One of them is fashionable, and when the other's not. You must have some convictions if you're going to choose right at 19, right?
I used to fuss at the right wing guys who go to college campuses and debate with children, and it's like you're dunking on a Fisher Price hoop here.
It is low hanging fruit, yeah.
Well, that's the only thing that Ben Shapiro can dunk on.
That's sort of the core.
I see it. It took me a second. I was like, no, he's really smart
because he's a Jew.
It's like in Star Wars where they flew into that thing. Okay, I'm missing your jokes. When they flew into the Death Star, like this is where all these bad ideas, bad laws, incompetent judges. This is where they begin. So you might as well nip it in the bud, get down there. But you're right; it's not very challenging. The shit they say is fucking retarded. But have you seen these streeters where they go questions like, "Can you name the seasons?" And my favorite one ever was, what does YES spell? And the woman says, Wes.
What?
I think because Wise is like a what?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wes.
That stuff has to be cultivated. I see the left do it at Trump rallies where they find people with indefensible positions, usually dressed up in their
QAnon weirdos. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And they get dunked on. But there's going to be dumb people.
Yeah.
But here's why 19, like you just said it, they have to have the courage of their convictions if you're going to be young and conservative. But this is especially true of like conservative blacks. Ann Coulter once said, our blacks are better than their blacks. And they accused her of saying that we own blacks. But if you're a black dude and you love Trump, you're arguing it through Thanksgiving. You're arguing at work. Nightmare with your cousins. Every barbecue, you're getting raked over the coals.
Every haircut.
Or you're closeted, God forbid, hiding that every day, afraid you'll be exposed, afraid someone's going to see your MAGA hat under your bed.
Well, I like in a lot of places, especially like New York and shit, being conservative is like being gay in the 50s, where you just sort of look over at a guy and you're like, I was at my wife's family reunion, and there was they're all lefties, Midwestern, Madison, Wisconsin types. And this was she's half Indian, half white. So this is the white side. And I was talking to her cousin, and we were told not to talk about politics because my mother-in-law is very, very, she's a liberal activist. And so we were avoiding it. And then I heard him say, yeah, I mean, you could tax these companies more, but, you know, you get less of something when you tax it. So maybe there'd be less business. And I was like, and then I sort of sauntered over to him like a homo. I was like, yeah, I mean, the concept of taxing makes sense. We need roads and stuff, but it is innately corrupt and bureaucratic. And then we had a couple more gay clues. And then I was like, I'm going to go pick up more beer. You want to come? And he's like, and then we get in the car and it's just like, Trump, holy fuck, he's kicking ass. Like this is when he was president. The economy's booming. Screaming at each other the whole drive.
Break into my country, tis of thee.
Yeah. And then we get back to the party, and like just like gays who had fucked in an alleyway, we both split ways. And like I go put the beer in the fridge, and we sort of have our backs to each other because we're not allowed to think these things.
You fade back into the background. Yeah, actually, I think there should be more trans kids. Yeah, I don't think there's enough.
I'm trans.
Every single one. You guys were talking about like the people on those protests not knowing what they're talking about, and it reminded me of this, I'll call it theory that Dick Masterson was talking about a long time ago, where he's like, if you're ever in like a serious like political discussion with like a woman, because he's big on the woman stuff, he's like, ask them what year the most common wars in history started, and you will immediately realize their level of understanding of the world. So he'll be like, you know, ask him when did like what years? Give me the gist. Like when was World War I? Like kind of like, and he said to try this with the women in your life, and I did with a couple, and they didn't know. Like they'd be like, I don't know, like 1895 something.
No,
yeah, I could do ballparks. 1911, 1918. Like you can be close. Yeah, I think he stole that from me.
Oh.
My thing was, I said that exact thing verbatim, but I said, ask them the population of America. And you will not get. I asked one lesbian I was arguing with about illegal immigration. I said, you're not going to believe me, by the way, so get ready. I said, how many illegals do you think are in this country? Now, the left usually says 12, although it's been 12 with fucking Biden. And the right, if you're really like right, you say 30. That's the range. 12 to 30 seems to be the range. She said 70 billion.
With a B.
70 billion.
It's a big number.
Billion.
Oh, damn.
And my dad's a mathematician, and I said, Dad, work out for me how many people could possibly fit in America.
Yeah.
He spent like 20 hours on it. He was like, can I freeze leaks?
I'm like, okay. See, now that's a smart guy.
And then he calls me the next day. He's like, I've got a problem here with sky rises, you know, because you could keep, if it was non-stop skyscrapers, but now you need farmland for food. So you're importing the food. And now if it's just skyscraper to skyscraper, coast to coast on frozen lakes and mountains. I could easily get 80 billion in there.
It goes subterranean if we have to.
So technically, that woman.
I never even thought of that.
Maybe she's right. Yeah, 70 billion. That's a baffling answer.
I've never
got be with someone that's that stupid.
Yeah,
I've never got the answer remotely close on any of those stuff. And then I just go, well, now you're being disingenuous. I don't care that you don't know how many illegals there are, but you brought up this discussion of immigration, and it's like me arguing with you about ballet. So why are you wasting my fucking time if you don't know who Nureyev is?
Yeah. Why even have the discussion if there's no inroad to have a productive discussion?
And I'm not learning anything. I'm getting dumber. I want to lose an argument. Like I'd
love my mind changed occasionally. Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah,
like, I'm not
intelligence.
I'm not against having my mind changed. I love when it happens. Like, I won't have that stupid opinion anymore because you set me straight. Thank you. I was going through life with my fucking left blinker on this whole time. Everybody but you's laughing. You pointed it out, taught me to turn that bitch off. Now I'm smarter.
Yes,
it seems like the other people sometimes their world or reality would crumble should one piece of this mosaic of nonsense that they base their existence upon be crumbled or tarnished by facts, reality, or common sense. If any of those things happen, then it's a domino effect. It all comes raining down. And who am I really?
Yeah,
kindergarten is woke. Grade school is woke, college woke. So you tell a 25-year-old that gays are murdered in Palestine, and the whole like not just last year's me is garbage. My whole existence has been garbage since I was in kindergarten, and no one wants to take that on. That's terrible.
Well, they can't reconcile it because in their head everything is divided into an oppressor and oppressed paradigm, and their like core belief is like no matter what, white people bad, no matter what. Like that white people must be bad. And so then if you're like, well, actually these non-white people are doing some fucked up shit too.
Yeah.
Like
some underdogs are dicks. Sorry. Yeah. But there's been studies that have shown that the more when people are confronted with data that contradicts their beliefs, they become more steadfast in those beliefs. Like doomsday cults, when that day happens and the world doesn't end, they don't lose members. They gain members.
That's shocking.
And you go,
I mean, imagine if there were imagine if there were heavily funded organizations that said the world was ending for decades at a time and they kept getting more adherents. That'd be wild. Imagine if they had like a track record of not.
I don't have that kind of imagination. I can't imagine such a thing.
We can't work with hypotheticals around here. I can't imagine.
I can't even fathom. Imagine if they said New York would be underwater in 1972.
They taught us that in kindergarten. I remember there was this thing about they were using pennies stacked on end as like a way of showing how much the oceans would rise. I was 5 and so scared because I had seen Land Before Time when all the dinosaurs get smoked. I thought that was coming for us too. They had us terrified.
Oh
that
yeah,
they had us 38 years ago. 33 years ago. Like it. Have they raised it all? Like
the oceans?
I always go back to my thing that like beachfront property would be getting cheaper if that
would be uninsurable.
Right? It's bought by people with no future,
like former presidents. Yeah,
right. They're 73
Dude, I remember
old, wealthy.
Like my first true terror as a young child was like watching a Fox News or CNN segment with my parents about how the world was imminently ending because when Africanized bees arrived, they were going to kill all the normal bees and there would be no food. And I still remember this graphic of them showing this horrifying red wave migrating from Africa and then showing it hit the East Coast and growing out. And I'm like, am I going to become an adult? Am I going to survive till the end game of life? Because with these Africanized bees, there's no telling. And then that ended up, I don't think that's a fear at all.
Oh, it's got to be the Palestinians. They're the skinniest people in the world. I saw a kid today that had starved to death in Palestine, and he was so thin, Taylor.
Dude, like Twitter is just like, hey, we noticed that you've been liking hockey highlights. Here's a dead child. It's like, oh, this is a lot of dead kids for
that kid shouldn't have voted for Hamas. You get what this is what he had coming for him.
Well, I mean, yeah, a little bit, like not about getting him. It's about winning the war, though. I'm full on board with just winning the war. I don't want to. That's the United States has done this pussyfooting around for my entire lifetime with these little wars we got in, and we didn't win any of them really. And Israel's like gonna win a war. By the time this is over, the question will be: do you think Israel won the war? Oh yeah, like no one questions that.
Usually in a war, there's two armies.
Sometimes, I mean, they're still killing the army, man. And when they blew up that tent the other day, there was 2 leaders of Hamas in the
sometimes tent. 2, even upwards of 5% of the deaths are military people.
on those charitable.
That's high. I mean, it depends how you calculate military people. When we bombed Tokyo, it was like, there's workshops sort of mixed in with all the people. You know, they didn't have that
is
centralized
the shining example of America being assholes. It's not the benchmark to hold people to.
Being assholes?
You don't think so? Oh, wait.
No.
Tokyo, I was really going for Hiroshima when I said that. But
why do you say that? Because Tokyo. So there were more people killed in the Tokyo bombing raids than in Hiroshima or Nagasaki.
They
burned them alive.
You talk about indiscriminately killing anyone who's in the wrong place at the wrong time. Hiroshima is a good example.
Yeah, but what they did in Tokyo is worse than indiscriminately. They planned for weeks, waiting on the weather patterns to be just right to create a firestorm. And they dropped the incendiaries in such a way to create a giant firestorm and burn a huge percentage of Tokyo. Yeah. They what did they do? They either took something out of the bombers so they could add more bombs. It's like, we could add 800 more pounds of napalm if you do this.
I'm aware of your argument, and I acknowledge the strength of it. And intellectually, I'll even concede. But something emotionally about dropping a nuclear bomb on a city feels just an extra layer of indiscriminate for me. Again, emotionally.
The calculations were we were going to lose 1 million U.S. servicemen on the invasion of the main Japanese island. And the Russians were coming from the north as well, eventually. So if we didn't end that war, then you were going to end up with South Japan and North Japan. And North Japan was going to be communist. That's what would really happen, and you'd lost 1 million Americans. So I always celebrate when I see that. There's this cartoon where they show the kids like eyeballs turning into liquid in slow motion and stuff, and I'm like,
we all celebrate that. Yeah,
you should have surrendered.
What cartoons are you watching?
It's this Japanese cartoon about the nuclear bombings.
Oh, it's okay. I was
more of an anime.
Like, man, America
normal
was going,
cartoons, Taylor.
Yeah, America was going hard in the paint with their propaganda. If that's the cartoons they were making at the time, look what we're doing to the Japs.
And also, like, their military industrial base was intermixed with. It's not like they had this big factory over here and like, oh yeah, that's the fucking Mitsubishi factory. That's where all the bombers come from, and it's all on the outskirts of the city in its big square building. They had all these workshops like mixed into there weren't districts as much as everything was just sort of mixed together. So there would be a house here, and next to it, there'd be a shop that was making wheels for airplanes. And then next to that, there'd be another house, and then checker patterned everywhere. So they just burnt it all.
To your point, some stuff has a lot of purposes. I watched the airplane show. I can't remember the name of ever. The Way We Were. I don't know. Did he put it out shortly ago? Anyway, they were doing bombs, and they're going after ball bearing factories. And they said, you know what? The war runs on ball bearings. Yeah, so do bicycles and strollers. But I can still acknowledge how you'd call it a military target.
Dude, and the Japanese were going to fight.
The scariest thing to live next to if it's getting blown up. A ball bearing factory? Like, it's just a whole factory Claymore. Like,
yes.
That's a good point. Yeah.
I didn't think of that.
That is a problem.
Yeah.
And the Japanese were going to fight woman.
Just another horrible day at the ball bearing factory. How could this get any worse? Oh no.
Did bombs really make that whistle sound? Is that a real thing?
We talked about this. They put whistles on the bombs to scare people.
Probably not like a nuclear bomb.
That's remember that.
I imagine that is.
Well,
the whistlers being for small.
That one blew up at altitude anyway, so they wouldn't have heard it coming in.
Did Japan hold a grudge for that long at all? I bet they did, but like I feel like they got Tokyo firebombed and they took like 3 days off, and they're like, "Well, let's rebuild."
They got right to rebuilding. It's crazy.
Then America came in with a plan on how to rebuild their economy, and they're like, "Yeah, we trust you. You're pretty good at economics."
They're like, "Oh,
followed it.
You guys are the ones with the bombs. You just
they kind of followed it. They almost went communist, I think, in the 60s. There was a big movement. And that's when you've got that. You've probably seen the video, but maybe not known the whole context of when there's a Japanese man speaking on stage and some dude runs at him with a, I don't know what the word, it's called like a wazakishi or something. It's the short sword that they carry. You know, the samurai carry two swords, the little one. He runs on stage with the little one and kills the fucking communist speaker on stage live on Japanese television. Everybody was watching, and that kind of put an end to the Japanese Communist Party.
It's like an iconic picture. The commie politician is like, "Ooh, don't stab me!" Ooh. And then
the other guy's like, "I'm gonna stab you."
Well, I came here for one purpose. It was to stab your pinko ass.
Pretty much, yeah. So no, I'm okay with whatever Israel's got to do to win the job. And win the war, but
really?
It's what they need to do.
Tents with families.
That's where the bad guys are. We bomb tents, we bomb caves, we bomb goat herders. We send $1 trillion battle groups.
Worse than the wedding we bombed, and I've heard you guys both disapprove of that repeatedly.
This isn't worse than that. This is different than that, big time. The wedding
Really?
the wedding. It was like, we think there's a terrorist.
They like tripled up the number of innocent deaths.
Yeah,
compared to that wedding.
I don't see how you can dislike the wedding part and not see it's pretty
parallel,
similar here.
Oh, I don't see it parallel. And there's a war zone over there. We were like, hey, there's a wedding
war
tomorrow.
zone. This was the place where
all of us are war zone.
The resettled people had to put up camps because they're homeless now.
Yeah.
Well, why would their military generals be there in that camp? They shouldn't be putting the people in that kind of danger. Don't they know we're going to blow them up?
Is that how you parse?
Are there military generals in that camp?
Which
military generals did they get?
They called them senior Hamas members.
What they were. Senior Hamas members. Sure.
Yeah. I mean, sure. Yeah. The problem, planners.
All right. Well, heck, if Israel said there were some senior Hamas leaders mixed into the refugee camp, then I'm sure it's true.
That's what they said last time they blew it up too. They never say, we missed. They're like, we were hoping there wouldn't be so many people in them tents.
A lot of war is PR, and especially on a global stage. And so, like any sort of bomb you drop, you have to, if there's
that's counterproductive, though. It shouldn't be that way. That's not what war is. I think we've forgotten what war is. I mean, I don't know what war is, but I've watched enough TV and read enough books to know what war was. The wars that got fought for all of human history, as long as we've been a thing. And you don't Nancy pants around, and civilians die, and women die, and children get blown up and eaten. Like, it's war. That's why you try to avoid war at all costs, because when war happens, children get eaten. Like, we're going to burn you alive. We're coming for you with a machine that burns you alive. You really want to do it? Are you sure? You do. We're coming. And now you're burning alive. You're like, oh, they're burning alive. We've got to stop. Why? They'll just regroup. We'll have to burn more of them alive. Burn them alive. Get it over with. Just get it over with. It's a Band-Aid situation. We shouldn't be building a $400 million dock that broke apart in 3 weeks or something like that.
It was a temporary dock. 3 weeks is what the plan was.
An unbelievably temporary dock.
Our estimates,
before it was even finished, it wore out.
Did you see our estimates on how much of our aid was stolen?
No, is it huge?
It was
foreign aid being pilfered and stolen. That can't be true.
Our estimate was 90% of it was stolen.
Wow.
Of the stuff they shipped along.
This is 330 to Palestine, I assume, not Israel.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, and I'm wondering who stole it, because when I imagine Palestine, the news just shows me it's just rubble and starving kids.
Yeah,
but there's got to be some dudes in there with guns and shit, like holding it down. There's hostages still there. There's an apparatus there. They shot rockets at Israel last week. Nobody cares. They shot a bunch of rockets into central Israel last week. I just think they should win the war. I'm tired of us funding the war, but I don't want to drag it on for 8 years, Nancy footing around, or whatever you want to call it. Just do it. Do it.
I mean, they are doing it.
I don't have a better answer. That's my problem. You know what I want? I want peace. I want a two-state solution where they all chillax and stop hurting each other.
Yeah.
Okay. We've been talking about that since long before I was born, and that was a long time ago. So my vision.
Hill Dog was talking about this the other day and made more sense than I've ever heard her make in her whole fucking life. Because trust me, she's on my side on this issue. She was like,
I believe you.
She was talking about when Clinton had like Yasser Arafat and everybody at the table, and she listed she was like, they got this much of their land back. Israel was going to give up this much of their land. It was going to be like ran by this, overlooked by that, security guaranteed, money from here. And she like lays out this incredible plan where it's like, the Palestinians won in the 90s and I never heard about it. She's like, and they said no. They refused. They refused. And it's
that was one of the crowning like efforts of Bill Clinton. And I've talked many times before about how some leaders, president, corporation, whatever, are like the smartest guys in the room. They come up with all the answers and sort of are detail oriented, and they make the organization doesn't function well without them, but it functions well with them. And then other people who can be equally effective just delegate, put, all right, you're my guy for this. You're in charge of Middle East.
Administrators.
Bill Clinton was a doer. And dude, he would roll out the maps on the table and street by street decide which ones should go to who and how it should be managed. Bill Clinton was like a wonk involved in the details of that plan, and it just never got put into action.
Can you imagine if we had nothing to do with this Middle Eastern ethnic conflict? Can you just imagine?
Oh, but Taylor, those poor Israelis could never defend themselves. They're helpless. They haven't had the devastating army in the area for 50 or more years.
Certainly not. They haven't been the only people with nukes for 2 generations.
They've been under the thumb of those rock throwers for 80 years now, trying to stop the oppression.
What was it? Was it called is it the 6 Days War or whatever? When like 5 Arab nations invaded them with tanks by land, and the Israelis defended themselves.
I think the 6 Day War was Egypt and Israel, right?
In addition to Egypt, though, there were like multiple Arab nations. The something Heights is where they had that great.
The Golan Heights.
There you go. Yeah, they had their the Israeli tanks were on. They had the high ground.
So to Kyle's point, primarily Egypt, Syria, and Jordan.
Okay.
3 powerhouses.
I mean, again,
I've heard of Egypt. No, I've heard of
Egypt. You know what? I've heard Egypt is in their heyday right now. Like, it certainly wasn't. Dude, that would suck to be born in a country and be like, I mean, we can look back and be like, America's like, we were at our peak, like right after World War II. Nobody could fucking touch us in anything. Like, imagine being Egyptian right now, and it'd be like, don't come at me 7,000 years ago.
You don't even know.
Before the Romans with their newfangled technologies bullied us and all that, we were a big deal.
And it's spinning completely out of control and on fire. And they're hugging because they're about to die.
I saw a tornado hit one recently.
No, I did not see the one you're talking about. That sounds awful.
Yeah, it is awful. They're
okay?
either no, they died.
They were every bit as good as those Israel refugees or Palestinian refugees.
There was a Hamas soldier in that.
Yes, there was one of them was a Hamas soldier.
Well, we can't confirm he's not.
True.
Yeah,
I don't know if there are any good people over there, Taylor. I'll tell you what. I remember a guy a while back was saying there was good people on both sides, and he got shouted down. Now all of a sudden, good people on both sides over there. I don't know. I saw Nikki Haley signing a bomb.
She did, yeah.
Dude,
what did it say? Finish the job or something? Do you remember what she wrote?
It's just like finish the job. These dirty like ragheads or something. She wrote something awful.
I hate her. She's the fucking worst.
You hate everybody.
Yeah.
What's your favorite politician?
Trump.
He's the guy who came up with finish the job before Nikki Haley did.
Yeah, but Trump's had like a history of like funny comments, entertaining.
You seen his hair? Come on,
he's got good hair. He's losing weight, maybe, or he's gaining weight. And
you see that quote from him where he's like, "People say I remind him of Elvis. People say all the time I look like Elvis."
Did he really?
Yeah.
See, Nikki Haley's never even tangentially approached something that funny in her life.
People say I look like Cher, and when I look in the mirror, I see Cher. She kind of does look like Cher, just a little bit, like ugly Cher. She could be Cher's ugly sister. Cher was fucking hot. Like Cher's.
I think Nikki Haley might have a prettier face than Cher. You think it's crazy?
I think Cher's really.
I'm
old
picturing
neck down. Cher's.
Fuck you. Cher's old now. Cher's 100.
No, I was meaning that she's older than Nikki Haley, right?
She's ancient. It's shocking she's still alive. I'm talking about Cher from Sonny and Cher when she would wear those titty shirts. When she would be like barely dressed on nightly television, dancing and singing and looking hot as fuck. I think she's half Native American or something like that. I also like when she's got her flat ass in that G string on that one video where she's on the aircraft carrier or the battleship, I think. If I could turn back time.
I mean, Cher was a cutie back then.
They've got an enemy problem, and so we give them bombs, and I wouldn't be signing the bomb. That's a little gauche. But like I know why they're shooting the bombs. I know why they're shooting the rockets. And like, look, I see the stuff I don't like is when you're just killing civilians on purpose, and I see that sometimes. They'll like sniper fire, like literally just like snipe a civilian. It's like, whoa, the fuck? He was doing his laundry.
Dude, that happens all the time.
I think those are rare, isolated incidents by outsiders who are later punished, and I don't know why you would think or say anything different, sir.
Yeah, all these damn AI videos that are being released all the time.
You joke, but like maybe I could be fooled by like some of the footage I see is so grainy and shit that it's like this could be anything.
I could be every weather event. I'm fooled.
Every time there's a giant hurricane. They show me some picture from 16 years ago and say, look what Hurricane Diddly-Doo just did. Mm-hmm. And meanwhile, that's like in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't know.
They seem to be, going a bit over the line over there.
I don't know. But like, what do you, I disagree. I think
do stay out.
They get all
out of it. It's not our business.
They need to go in there and then you get all them bad people, round them up.
That's both sides, all of them.
Yeah, it's not a Marvel movie. It's not like there's like a bunch of guys with scary hats on over there where it's like we're just getting the scary hat guys.
They literally, they're literally that. It's Iron Man 3. This is Iron Man 3.
No, you cannot let Iron Man 3 inform your opinion on geopolitics. Please, I beg of you.
This is 100% Iron Man 3. That's what it's a scenario here. And you've got to go in there and you got to clean those.
Iron Man 3 this summer. Tony
it's
gets
not Iron Man. It's war because you got both sides who think they're right, who have an argument to be made. It's a confusing situation.
One side's defending itself, from all sorts of evil, and the other side is
which
Israel.
One is that one?
Israel's defending itself, and the Palestinians put your hands up, dude. What are you doing over there? Get your hands up. Stop. Like, what are you doing, dude? You're getting walloped. Get your hands up. That's or here's option B for anyone who would say anything different. Surrender.
I don't think they're taking prisoners over there.
What are you talking about? They offered a ceasefire. They've been there's a peace agreement. They say no.
How do non-combatants surrender?
Hamas, the leadership of Hamas, who they're negotiating with continuously.
No one's worried about Hamas dying. It's all the innocent people. How do they surrender?
Well, they're going to keep fighting the terrorist organization that's over there until they surrender. And whatever happens. It's not. I blame the terrorists who are using the civilians.
Whatever happens is going to happen, and it would continue to happen if we were entirely disconnected from these world-away conflicts that don't serve our interests.
Now, who's got a problem with geopolitics? All right, do you really want the Ruskies to slide in there and be Israel's friend and arm them and move their missiles into that area?
Yes, giving Russian a white elephant to take care of for the rest of their time.
Yeah,
they've got a
drain on.
You want to cause a problem for Russia financially? Make them fund Israel.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, wait! This gets better. We can have them fund both sides.
Putin, we have been doing pretty good with the numbers accounting wise on this war, but we're 6 hours into supporting Israel and we're running low.
Dude, that doc is the worst.
No, it's the weirdest thing. I gave him the money and then he's like, thanks, fuck you, I'm doing what I want. It is the wildest negotiation. I tell you, these people really are good. I left there thanking him. My God. Yeah. I don't want anything to do with the Middle East. It's for the birds.
Nobody wants you to go, luckily.
I just have to pay for it.
I'd go. Wouldn't you?
No, you wouldn't.
Yeah, they want you to go. Aren't you ready?
No.
You wouldn't answer the call.
Go die for the Middle East. Nah.
Die for them. Fight for them. If Uncle Sam comes and he says, "Look, Bibi Netanyahu needs you. He wants you.
Bibi Netanyahu needs me.
Yeah.
Bibi Netanyahu. They need an ex-goalie.
I'll do it.
He says you can be his guy.
I can be his top guy. I'm BB's top guy. I disagree so much with what they're doing over there, but BB needs me.
They're gonna call you the Golem. That's gonna be your code name.
All right, you're selling me.
Yeah.
Do I get a harem of big titty Israeli fighter bitches?
No, they make you play goalie.
Yeah, you get 3 IDF hoes who they're TikTok hoes.
How many?
3.
How many?
How many do you need, Taylor?
How many?
This is 4 IDF TikTok hoes. That's all we got. All right, we can't go to 5. Don't ask.
All right, maybe I strap some boots on. Maybe I caused some problems.
All right. 4 TikTok hoes and a Palestinian boy we caught last week.
No, you're giving me a financial burden now. No,
you can do anything you want with him.
Like, I don't know what's he good at.
We just been
Taylor, be creative. I don't think you're on the same page here with this young.
You know what? I actually
what would Alexander the Great do?
Give me the best soccer playing boy that the Palestinians have, and then I'll give him all the right training, and I'll have my own fucking Messi. I'll be worth $1 billion when he's an adult.
Somebody else shoot him in the kneecap right away. Yeah, that won't work. Yeah,
he was coming at me with a scary ball.
I don't know a ton about your religion, Harley, but is there any belief in a satanic demons, an afterlife of punishment and pain?
No. But I think there's like what's it called? What's that in between? What's that word again? Purgatory. I think there's some form of that.
It's a never-ending line.
We got golems. I think we got golems.
Yeah,
I think there's golems.
It never moves
in there.
The golem is interesting. There was an X-Files episode about a golem. From my understanding via X-Files, it's when a Jewish religious person uses some sort of magic or something to create like a clay monster man that he can sort of control and puppeteer to go do his bidding and
now dig the tunnels. Dig deeper. Now come scratch my back.
Now press this elevator button. It's Shabbos.
Don't you hear the phone?
Don't you hear the phone?
That's
now,
my Shabbos golem.
I need you to kick this marble down this Rube Goldberg machine.
But by the way, I respect that. I respect that hypocrisy and that faith so much. And maybe it's not even hypocrisy. Maybe it's the loophole, because you see it in every single religion. Okay. When I went up to Ohio to do some gun shit, we met these Amish people. There was an Amish man working in the machine gun shop, building machine guns. And I was asking him all about his shit. He was like 3/4 Amish. I don't mean like racially speaking. I mean like
he whacks off.
As far as how strictly he follows whatever their codes are of living like it's still 1869. Yeah, somewhere in between. Like he had a machine gun with a suppressor on it. He's like, this is my baby. And I was like, do you have a phone? He's like, well, at the end of our driveway, there's a little shed that has a phone in it. And you go out there because it's technically off our property, but the county lets us do that. And I was like, so how do you have like buggies and horses? How do you farm? And he's like, I have a John Deere, whatever the number was, 3180 or whatever the fuck. I'm like, what, you own a tractor? That doesn't seem. He's like, well, I don't own it. The John Deere dealership holds the title. I owe them $1 still. They keep it like that. Yeah, little workarounds, little loopholes.
I gotta say,
everyone's Jewish, bro. Literally, everyone's Jewish.
Everyone is.
Yeah,
dude, I know some people.
Everyone's got the little scams and stuff, and the moves and the loopholes. Everyone's got it. Mm-hmm. Everyone's got their Shabbos golem.
They're just jealous because like Jews seem to be the best at it. Like they're finding little loopholes with their tunnel. I bet the tunnel was some workaround where it's like you can't get delicious cured beef on Saturday walking down the sidewalk, and they're like, I won't be stopped. And so make a tunnel.
I can't believe the Jews took tunnels as their thing. Like it wasn't even their thing. They can't even just leave tunnels alone. Like that's now theirs,
Yeah, Jews doing tunnel stuff. I feel like if fucking
hummus,
Himmler
tunnels,
or if Goebbels had presented like a sample poster before it went to production to Hitler and was like, Mein Führer, look, they are tunnel people like dirty rats. Hitler'd be like, yeah, but like maybe a little nuance, maybe something to get the mind working.
Jews coming out of the tunnels, like Hitler's literally like called it.
This is unrealistic. They don't tunnel like animals.
Now, I am no fan of them, but this is crazy. Joseph, they're not living in tunnels. And then meanwhile, Joseph just got bags under his eyes like that one dude in New York who's like, I knew I heard people fucking dancing under there.
That guy probably believes in 30 different conspiracy theories, but it turned out there were in fact Jews tunneling under his home.
Think about that guy just in the context of like an A24 horror movie, and he's like, his wife, he's like, shh, there's Jews under the floors.
Here are the divorce papers. I'm going to need you to sign here and initial here.
And they're like, listen, they're like, he's obsessed. Quiet. He's obsessed with the Jews.
If you're really quiet, you can hear the Seinfeld theme.
It's like a flashlight in an endlessly dark hallway.
That would be a good A24 movie. Did you see a Barbarian, by the way?
Yeah,
I saw that.
Imagine if downstairs in Barbarian, if you like, it was down the dark hallway and you heard like, you'd be like, oh fuck, Tunnel Jews, Tunnel Jews, the horror movie. It's crazy.
Is it? I think is it just the hyper religious Jews that were tooling around in the tunnels? I don't think like the sandwich or pickle Jews were down there. Like
pickle bagel Jews weren't down there, I don't think.
No, they're busy making delicious treats for us all to enjoy.
Yeah.
I had lots.
These Jews would spit on those Jews if those Jews were in the tunnels.
Really? The religious ones would see the sandwich Jews and they'd be pissy.
I think they spit on mailmen.
Oh,
spit on mailmen?
Yeah.
That's rude.
Yeah. Why the fuck? I don't like,
because they don't want to pay taxes, bro. Get the fuck out of here.
Oh,
fuck out. We have our own system. They deliver mail in a series of tunnels. There's just one high up rabbi in New York who won't let the tunnel idea go, and everyone else.
Menachem Mendel.
What does that mean?
It's just a guy. He's like the last guy that made that. That's like he's all those types of Jews. This is their boy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I've been following the Israeli conflict. I don't know if y'all are aware that's still going on.
Still, bro? It's like, what the fuck?
Dude, like fucking
like my entire life. What the hell?
It feels like it's been going on for a minute.
They're so close to solving it though, just like fucking right there.
Just a little bit more money. a couple more bucks.
Just a couple more dollars. What do you need them for? I just am asking for $2 billion. What's a quick $4 billion? $6 billion and this is over. That's they just.
I love when Biden was like, "Look, you can have all the rockets, the missiles, the self-defense. Here's the machine guns. Here's the ammo for them. Here are the grenades. Here's some poison gas. Don't say shit about it. But look, you can't have any more 2,000-pound bombs. We haven't dropped those since World War II. What are you doing?" And they were like, "America has abandoned us in our hour of need."
Did they really say that? That's not.
Yes,
fair.
it became a whole thing.
I think I've heard some stuff like I heard they're like, that's enough for now, and they're like, I can't believe that you've done this to
us, dude. They're 2,000-pound bombs. I think they're dumb bombs, as in you're just like, looks about right. Drop it, like. And you've seen the battlefield. That part I was like, that's wild. And then look, I know what propaganda is, but I can't always sift through the propaganda and how horrific the world can actually be sometimes. But they were saying, this Arab guy on the street, they were saying there were lots of reports that the IDF was using dogs to rape Palestinian prisoners. He's like, they bring in special trained dog to humiliate prisoner in terrible way. And I was like, Jesus Christ. That's the worst thing I've ever heard.
I saw that.
That gets my propaganda alarm spinning.
But they had I saw that clip, and I did see, like, not long after, they showed footage of an IDF dog that was attacking like a Palestinian woman. But then later it was found out that dog was no longer with the IDF. Like, they had taken the dog. The dog was found dead, and it had they had like strapped it to explosives. So whoever goes to the dog to get it, it was booby trapped, and that dog had the footage. That footage came from that dog, and that dog's camera, and it was not like with the IDF when that scenario was happening with the women. So there's like a lot of dog talk, and then they said that the IDF were raping the prisoners with dogs.
Yeah,
and then like I remembered that girl Brianna, that reporter. She had like a hostage's sister on, and that hostage's sister was like, yeah, you know, these hostages, they've been coming back and saying that they've been sexually assaulted. Mm-hmm. And she was like, oh, and like rolled her eyes at that. And she ended up losing her job. But I just thought it was funny that like this woman who was sister of the hostage was like, yeah, they're being raped out there. And she was like, yeah, right. And then they were like, yeah, the IDF have dogs. And she was like, the Zionist dog is raping people. That's 100% believable.
Yeah.
Like rolling your eyes at the person, but then being, anyways. But you never know everything. Everything we never know, right?
Yeah.
It's true. There's no way to know.
The dog was circumcised, so I'm suspect.
Every dog is. That's why we do it.
No.
We do it. We based it on the dogs. Look at that thing. Look at that. Don't you like like that?
Do you wish you had like a belly sheath for your penis? Keep it out of the way when
during
you're doing,
COVID. I did
doing sports.
During COVID, I earned one. Trust me.
Put on some pounds.
I'd like take my fingers and like push fat back to like piss.
Oh. Yeah. Oh, I don't know what Woody's issue is. He's either completely forgotten that we moved, even though we all sort of, you know, said we'd be here, or he's just in a lot of, he's hurt, you know, somewhere in a cornfield somewhere.
With some gangs.
He's been flying over their turf.
I mean, there's no way they'd like that. If he started a gangland like warfare.
No.
An Israeli gang shit.
It's an Israeli
bikers, who the IBF.
It's an Israeli who is traumatized from the October 7th para attacks, and he moved to North Carolina, and then he sees Woody coming one day. They're here to finish us off, and he just went anti-air on Woody.
Sarah, they found us.
I told you they never stop looking. Like,
I have a very specific and silly set of skills. I will fly at you. You will hear me coming.
By the way, that's how Mossad rolls. Like post World War II, they would send these little hit squads down to South America, and they'd scoop up Nazis, and they'd like beat the shit out of them, tie them up, and sneak them out of the country all the way back to Israel, then put them on trial and kill them.
Wow. So they were just suspecting random blonde guys named Hans, little bigoted.
They're like,
yeah,
he'll do. Look at him.
Family has been here
he
for 20, 30 months. Like that's how that would go.
There's still those German communities down there in South America. Like the architecture is like turn of the century German, and like you said, like so many Nazis fled there. It's how weird.
Competent, like when you think about like Mossad and CIA and these like how competent are we talking?
I think they're pretty competent. Like
medium
CIA.
So like the most publicized and famous examples of their competency would be after, was it Black September at the Munich Olympics? This terrorist group kidnapped several Israeli athletes and tried to sneak them out of Greece onto a plane back to wherever they were from, Syria or I don't know. And there was a huge shootout. All the Israeli hostages died. All the bad guys died. And the country was embarrassed and they wanted revenge. And they sent Mossad into Europe to get it. They wanted anyone who'd had a hand in that attack. And they kept killing. And they killed the guy who would replace the guy. And I'm talking about shootings, bombings, stabbings, every way you can imagine. There's a really good movie about it where you go, they put explosives in this guy's phone, and then they sit outside and they call him, and the phone opens and he blows himself up with C4. But the movie's called Munich. And then obviously
they also timed like sending anonymous flowers and condolence for the person's loss, like at the same time. So they would be like, what are you talking about? And then would find out later that happened. But like, that's like, it's also like a movie. It makes it like, and that movie's interesting because they're not fully competent. There's some major fuck ups and there's beef amongst their ideologies. And then there's this crazy scene where they're paired up, like sharing a room with the guys that are their targets. And they're all both groups are like trying to play it cool. Those guys don't know that they're Israeli though, because they're Israeli. They look like 5 different types of people.
Yeah.
And it's just like a crazy scene, and they keep changing the radio. They like can't agree on the radio, 2 of them. Like the Jewish guy goes over and puts on a song, and the Arabic guy goes over and changes it, and then they go and they agree on something. But that's always like Hollywood, you know? And like when I hear about it, like all that stuff, I remember I did like a project on it back in the day. We had to do all these. It was just, we had to base it on a movie and do a project. And like, I actually ended up doing it on, not Munich, something else, but like about the same thing. And I wonder, like, cause that makes it sound really competent, like bombing a phone and sending the thing like flowers to them and hunting them down and sending agents to other countries that speak a different language. And I think about like the level of competency that like it would take to organize some mass crazy event, like to like some world changing event that's like planned and you guys did it, but you goofed up because you were dancing at the scene. It just doesn't seem likely that the level of competency to orchestrate that is also the same level of competence to actually dance and take pictures in front of it. So that's why I'm always like, yeah. Like, so I don't believe that, you know, these guys were Mossad agents there. I know there's like that whole story is refuted and whatever, blah, blah, blah. But I'm just like, it's crazy that people's idea of the competency is to execute something like that, but also be dancing there. And I wonder if it's like, damn, if the CIA, Mossad, and these like organizations that we don't even know about, if their level of competency is super high, then everything that we know and theorize about now is part of the plan. Like everything we're doing now, sometimes I'm just like, everything that's happening now, if there really is like a secret organization, like a secret, like pulling the strings, then this is literally all part of the plan.
Yeah. Or there's probably just a mixed bag. Like there's parts, like some missions go off without a hitch for the CIA, Mossad, whatever, like of the like S tier intelligence agencies, and then other ones like Bay of Pigs or whatever are just, you know, it's the same people. It just doesn't pan out.
Yeah, it seemed like Cuba we really struggled with. Maybe it was because we didn't have agents who could infiltrate, or maybe that everyone was just a true believer down there, like in Castro's regime, because they tried to kill Castro on several occasions. They tried poisoning him. They tried dosing him with LSD prior to a speech so he'd be wacky and lose confidence. They tried poisoning him in a way that would make his beard fall out because that was like his thing. They tried poisoning him and killing him, and they failed every time. And then the Bay of Pigs thing as well, another like huge. And if you look at the Bay of Pigs,
but then his level of competency is like, they're like, "Are you scared?" He's like, "No, I have a son, a secret son, part of my plan. We won't benefit right now, but one day we will benefit. We will invade from the inside."
Dude, I'm so just looking at those pictures. The pictures are all I have to see to be like, oh fuck, Trudeau's Castro's kid, 100%. Have you seen what Trudeau's like supposed dad looks like?
I've seen it.
He may as well be Japanese. That's how little they look alike. And then you see like the same nose hump, the same like side silhouette from him and Castro.
Like, I'm not gonna be like, oh, I love Benjamin Netanyahu, or you know, whatever it is about Israel. It's like, you know, does Israel do all the things that I would have done if I were Israel? No, but there's something weird about, you know, my university having Netanyahu hanging, like a hanging effigy from the gates, and he's like wearing straight pajamas. So it's like, I don't know about this Jew in straight pajamas that you have hung up at my university, but like that stays there. And like they gave out pamphlets with like encouraging people to like come for this summer camp thing, and there's like on the pamphlet there was a dude with an AK-47, and like that is weird because it's like, well, I'm not saying freeze their bank accounts either, and they shouldn't, and I'm not saying that, but now double the fact that you shouldn't have froze Freedom Convoy bank accounts.
Why do they have the ability to freeze bank accounts? Like there should be one with that power. Like for that to happen, it should be like someone from Homeland Security. I don't know what your equivalent is, but they're the terrorist guys that we invented in 2001 to watch over us and protect us, wrap us up like a blanket in the night and look at our emails. So those guys would contact like Bank of America or what have you and be like, hey, this Harley guy, we got to freeze all his money.
This guy's got a lot of fertilizer for living in an urban area.
Yeah, either he's got a huge putting green or we're in trouble.
Yeah, so they shouldn't be able to freeze anyone's bank accounts. It's fucking being able to like wild.
I think they did something with their PayPals too. Like they froze donations that were coming through on PayPal also.
I saw that. Like sites like GoFundMe will do that all the time.
By the way,
and so like if you like uploaded a picture of your ID and then it was like hold your camera up and it'll take a picture of your face. It'll like confirm like, all right, this is the same person that's on the ID, and then you get a little check mark or whatever it is next to your name, so you can tell who's verified.
I had that on Twitter so that you could like collect monetization from it. It does that thing. It's like prepare your passport and be in a lit up room because we're about to fucking film everything, bro. But it's crazy because you do that and you did it for the dating app, and all of that information got sent to Mossad agents.
Yes.
And when you say anything bad on social media, like you don't want to give any more of your money, they're gonna know that it was you. Yeah, and just watch out for your phone, bro.
They're gonna frame you.
They're your phone. They're gonna fucking.
They're gonna hack my phone.
They're gonna blow your head up.
When we've got a guy in our Patreon who's an Israeli tank commander. He messaged me earlier, Woody. If he said he could come on the show. He's been in action, and I think like a big part of like what's going on in the war. And he said he has all sorts of like fun war stories that he could tell about.
They are
going into
rocks at us, very dangerous rocks.
I'm a piercing rocks.
I'm a piercing rocks.
Kyle, we should have him on.
I didn't know that the Israeli accent
maybe
was
a small
so
segment,
French accent.
Yeah, we should like target amount of time, 60 minutes, 90 minutes. And if it runs long, it runs long. But if he runs dry,
I'll write back and tell him, no, I find that shit fascinating. I don't know how you two fall on the Palestinian Israeli conflict thing. I've gone back and forth. The more research I do, like I'll go back the other way. I think I've gone back and forth 3 fucking times, and I'm back on the Israeli side. Although the other day I heard the Israelis were using dogs to rape Palestinians, to torture them, and I was like, damn, that's a bit strong, isn't it?
Is there any post canine felching involved?
Dude,
when you hear anything that evil, like the 40 beheaded babies, like when I hear something so over the top evil, my gut reaction is like,
Woody's denying dead babies.
This sounds like the other side has a vested interest in pushing this.
I'm denying dead babies because Dr. Disrespect's victims were most likely in their teens.
Jesus fucking Christ, he didn't kill anybody. We're not suggesting he did. He just broke a lot of teen hearts. That's all.
Well, I don't know.
I know for a fact I wouldn't give a fuck about Israel whatsoever if they didn't clearly have so much hold over our politics. Like I don't care what Israel and the Middle East are up to. I couldn't care. Same way with Ukraine. I don't give a fuck about Ukraine and Russia. I don't care about Israel and Palestine. Why do we have to hear about it here in the United States? We've got enough problems. Stop.
Well, I don't know how plugged in you guys are with like left wing politics, but the Israel Palestine thing was incendiary for like online spaces, and it was crazy. Like my take is like it's a little bit of nuance where it's like I feel like Israel is completely justified in trying to eliminate Hamas. Like, I don't understand why they would tolerate that, like, right next to them. Mm-hmm. And then I also think that Netanyahu and Israel could be doing more to protect.
So a potentially violent group on their border justifies action, and Russia Ukraine joining NATO and putting military bases in there. You don't like that, though.
Well, the difference is that
traitor to our country. I don't want to hear that shit, Taylor. I don't want to hear that.
I don't even pointed well. I'm not sure I did it.
Which story? That way, commie.
Wait, that's me.
You
You're pointing at Woody, you fucking retard.
I believe
you fucking idiot.
I was right the first time, and I thought Woody was correcting me, but I think he was just complimenting me on my pointing skills. Commie.
Yeah.
Commie, traitor to our country. All right. Oh, you want us to be our little isolationist island? The biggest fucking island of scaredy cats in the world. What are we going to make then? We're the best weapons manufacturers that have ever existed. You want to stop that? You want to stop when business is a booming? There's folks that need killing, Tayller, and we make killing tools.
There's no reason for us to be there. No reason.
Oh, I've got billions of reasons. How is Hunter Biden going to get his next paycheck if Ukraine falls? He needs to get plugged back in.
I think Taylor's like political profile is probably in like 0.001% of the country, where you have like a libertarian isolationist who believes in universal healthcare and is pro-life. That is such an interesting constellation of.
I'm not even I wouldn't even say it's libertarian. Like I'm very nationalistic in a lot of my views, in that like I want America for Americans, promoting things that help American citizens. Like. So I guess that's nationalism, right? Like
that sounds more like isolationism or nativism, but like nationalism necessarily has a bad So like the definition of nationalism is like extreme patriotism and focus on like a national identity to the detriment of other countries. If other countries have to like do a little worse so Americans can do better, I'm cool with that. Like
no, they already do. That's the way.
We more like trying to invade Mexico.
Like if your government doesn't,
I'm all right. Not Canada, but Mexico.
Those countries are worthless. But if like your country has to fight on behalf of you as a citizen, if your government isn't fighting on behalf of you as a citizen, your government has failed. Like it has to represent us. It has to.
Something like that.
I would take. Yeah,
I'll bet you. How about I need a bet to get in on it? How about I bet either of you $100 that no matter who gets elected, they will breathlessly support Israel.
Look, you anti-Semitic Midwesterner who's surrounded by a bubble of nonsense. We stand with Israel for a reason. Ask your grandparents why we stand with Israel. They'll tell you.
They'll tell him
the Holy Land, Taylor.
I didn't realize you had a Hamas supporter on this podcast.
That's the land of Jesus Christ. Oh, it's fucking Palestine Joe over there.
Israel drags us down. I don't want anything to do with these
they hold us up. Taylor, they're underground, shoring up the foundations in Brooklyn as we speak. Okay? The Jews hold us up. Okay, we need them.
Martin Luther King called them one of the most important democracies in the world. Rosa Parks was a huge Zionist who support a lot of civil rights leaders like equated their struggle for.
You love those people, right, Taylor?
Right, Taylor?
Rosa Parks, and Martin Luther King.
You know Rosa Parks.
Rosa Parks and Martin Luther King.
You got a Rosa Parks tattoo, right?
That was like a thing because like a lot of like lefties probably.
I have a huge Rosa Parks back piece.
It says, "I'm sitting here, motherfucker."
Yeah.
Well,
man, that's crazy.
Taylor's anti-Israel stance offends me as a Christian.
It offends me as a Christian as well. I gotta say, like I read my Bible.
I am more Christian than either of you, and that is.
Oh, please, sir.
Measure these things.
That doesn't sound very Christian to me.
Yeah, right. If you were more Christian than me, then you'd be supporting Israel.
And you want to undermine the prophecy that will ring in the rapture? Is that what you're saying?
What prophecy? That's hokum. Nonsense.
Can't we just dig it up and like move the whole Israel to like Missouri or something?
No,
I think it would be cheaper.
I think that we should just leave and they can do their own thing over there. It's fine.
Well, that's not happening. Mine's more
all
likely
the time.
To happen than yours.
You hear all the time about how the U.S. can project their power with just a simple aircraft carrier.
Hang on, I got an idea, Taylor.
And then those same people are like, "We need to support Israel because we can't support."
Quick question:
why? We can't float a fucking boat into the Mediterranean.
For some reason, I feel it's relevant. How many Jews were killed in the Holocaust, Taylor?
What time is it?
Dude, don't even try and get me.
My camera's messing up too, guys.
What time is it?
Hundreds of them.
Too edgy even for Dick, for Christ's sakes.
Too many.
That's how you can suss out one of these anti-Semites in 5 seconds, folks. Just pay attention. They get all, there weren't enough furnaces.
Kyle, I think that 10 million were killed.
Nah, you're being sarcastic. That's a bad answer.
Who's the anti-Semite now?
I think it was more like 20 million.
Succession.
It was
like
definitely 20 million.
You think 20 million towards...
It's like the scene in Succession where the one guy who's like the Tucker Carlson of the show, who's suspected of, have you guys seen that show, by the way?
Oh, yeah.
No.
Oh, man. And he's like, okay, well, I just got to ask you a few questions. How many Jews do you think were killed in World War II? And he goes, just checking the till here. I think you're a couple million short.
No, you can always suss out that anti-Semite nonsense with a quick quiz.
Taylor, I'm going to pray for you.
I don't know why you don't stand with Israel, dude. They dropped. We had all them 2,000-pound bombs. We didn't know what to do with.
You don't get any.
And they're like, bro, could we use a few thousand of those 2,000? Make it 12,000 of them. Give me 12,000 of those 2,000-pound bombs.
Nothing fires them up like Israel, I've noticed.
Oh,
Taylor's trying to claim that we don't get anything. He doesn't understand how the system really works. We give them weapons of war. They give us political donations. Yeah. Where would we be?
AIPAC is not even in the top 10 lobby. I mean, they spend a lot of money, to be fair, but they're not even in the top 60, I think.
Influential. I don't know. Somehow it seems to be a big deal. There must be some reason we're so steadfast supportive.
Yeah. Like look at AIPAC.
They must be controlling something really important, huh?
Oh my goodness. I don't know what would happen to them if the United States withdrew our support? They would probably form an alliance with Russia or China out of self-preservation. So
they'd probably be fine because they're a first world military country and we don't need to be giving them fucking money anymore. They're fine. Do what they want to fucking do, but it's not. East, but it's not our problem. It shouldn't be our problem.
I'm happy to sell them weapons. I'm making money here. I'm okay with that. It's just giving them weapons I don't like.
Wait,
I kind of like giving them to them. I like when we give them to them and then they use them.
Kyle's version of watching war is so funny because he's really into the equipment that's used. And,
it's fucking cool, man. I love the tech.
He loves the tech. That's what his favorite part
Dude, it's like, you ever watch that show Future Weapons on Discovery Channel back in the day? And it's like, God damn it, I wish I could see somebody get shot with that heat ray. If only they'd shoot the sticky foam on a real criminal and I could laugh at him. And you never got that. And it was a letdown. It was blue balls. And suddenly here comes the modern age of tiny cameras in every phone and GoPros galore. And suddenly you can watch motherfuckers explode in Ukraine. You can watch entire blocks get leveled in Palestine. And it's all in beautiful 4K. You can see first-person shooter gunfights that look more hardcore than any video game you've ever played, but because it's real fucking people going corridor through corridor, spraying, lock and loading. It's cool. I love that shit. The drone footage is a little rough. That'll eat your soul away if you watch too much of that because, those guys get blown apart and then they suicide themselves and it's dark. And sometimes they're all burning up alive and shit. And they're like,
well, the buddies suicide them.
And they're burning and melting. And people melt. I don't know if y'all knew this, but people melt. And you see them melting and they're still alive. And it's a little fucked.
Have you seen the one where the guy points to his head and his buddy just shoots it and continues on walking?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good friend right there. I'm going to tell you, if I'm out there, look, if we'd have already had that conversation. If the three of us are the five of us are in a foxhole out there in Ukraine, he'd be like, it's not going well for us, comrades. I'm going to tell you tomorrow, it could be me, it could be Sergey, it could be Dmitry. I don't know any other Russian names, but if I go down, put me out of my misery, please. If I tell you to, don't hesitate. I'm sober, as sober as a Russian soldier gets. And I'm telling you, if I go down and I tell you to put me down because I'm in excruciating pain or I know I can't get out of there and I don't want there to be any more thought. We'd have had this conversation because we're in a war zone where people are getting their dicks blown off left and fucking right. Shrapnel blowing their fucking eyes out of their head. Just nasty, awful buttholes leaking. Just all sorts of napalm burning people alive. I saw a guy make the stupidest decision of all time the other day. He had 5 gallons of gasoline he tried to throw at an explosive drone. And he hit it, and it turned him into a fireball of death, and he just in agony, burnt alive in a goddamn field in Ukraine. So
I love that one of Kyle's consistent positions is like, I'm not going to go through life with 9 fingers. Just end it.
Fucking shoot it. Yeah. So when I was like, I was like, that's a good friend.
You guys ready to wrap?
Oh, I've had just so much goddamn fun, Woody. I'd do another hour if you'd let me, but I know you won't.
No, Kyle, no. I hate politics. All right.
What you guys have is like really rare to have like a 12-year podcast where you still like really enjoy talking to each other. That's
dude, it's fun as fuck. You just joke around.
Yeah, we debate felching.
You just
if it weren't for the assassination attempt, this entire episode would have been like, well, it's not that gay to eat cum. I
believe you.
Yeah, that's about right.
Episode would have been because I don't think any of us are that principled.
We do the best we can with what we've got. Thank you.
I was wanting something to happen, but then Nick Rekieta got arrested and Trump got shot. I'm like, God, this is a little too much happening for me. Like, this isn't what I had in mind.
No one loves the Jewish people more than me.
No one. I always say
maybe Donald J.
No one. Not even him. Second to Donald J. Trump, of course.
Many people are saying it. Not me, but many people.
A lot of good Jews out there.
He said he was the best president for black people since maybe Abraham Lincoln. Maybe Abraham Lincoln.
He said he was better. He said that he's better than Abraham Lincoln for black people too.
To be fair, by the time the slaves actually got freed,
if he means it, it's insanity, but it's a great joke.
By the time the slaves actually got freed, Lincoln had been shot. So, like, technically,
yeah, who came afterward? That's the guy getting overlooked.
That
I had to ask who came after Lincoln. Some fucking idiot.
Well, he's on the 50s, so.
And of course
is it Grant?
I fully support.
I want to say it was Grant.
No,
I fully support Israel in their war and their war efforts to fight back those Palestinians who attacked them last year around October 7th.
It's a war the same way like. If I get into the ring with Brock Lesnar, we'll have a war. Like, no, he's gonna bam me around, smacking.
You shouldn't have fucked his ugly daughter. That's all I'm saying. You fucked Brock. If you go and you fuck Brock Lesnar's ugly daughter, and you don't, dude, have you never seen a picture of Zach? Show us Brock Lesnar's daughter right now.
This is important. He's gonna find you, and he's gonna rip your arms off like a fucking cave troll.
This chick's not ugly.
Oh, she's a.
I've seen her. You know what she would
not go the way you want.
She could put that whole Algerian boxer shit to rest.
This chick is smoking. You can't tell, but she's got belly hair, back hair.
Dude, that's like the kind of woman that would like land on England's eastern shores in the year 800.
600 fucking pounds. That's
bitch has got a high T. She wants to bang.
That's like a monastery raiding pose.
Yes.
A Viking.
Yes.
Could you go back to the original? Could you go back to the photo right before that?
How can you be sure that's his daughter?
Mr. Lesnar, would you like a DNA test? No. First of all, I'm the daughter.
in the picture there you go. That picture, she looks like the fucking alien dude from Prometheus.
Yeah, the alien guy's a little less jacked.
That is an incredibly powerful genetic lineage that he's created over there. And my God, I saw Mike Tyson's daughter. Ooh, she looks like Monique. Like it didn't work out. Like
not
this lady is a fucking athlete. My God. But anyway, I keep trying to support Israel. You know, I got my flag out front, Taylor. You know that.
Yeah.
That's why I have good credit.
That would be so funny.
Kyle, that flag doesn't support Israel at all. I think you misunderstand the history of World War II.
I mean, every time they see it, they point.
There's a thin red. It's like my Nazi flag. There's a thin red line that goes through it to show.
No, that's no Nazis. That's no Nazi flag.
The thinnest of red lines.
You see that? It says no right here.
To be fair,
it is from the sun.
To be fair, it's the flag that technically created Israel, but hey,
yeah,
right.
You see, you're a glass half full type of guy. So, yeah,
it was the prequel.
So I keep trying to, stand with Israel, but my boy Fish, who's a brown person, from the Middle East somewhere. I don't know where that fucking savage is from. He always tells me about.
He's Lebanese, I think.
I know his family's in Beirut right now, worried about bombs. So good luck with that, buddy. That sounds
Lebanon
scary.
Checks out.
Yeah, I thought they were vacationing there, which I'm like, I hope y'all got a good rate. What the fuck? they pay you to get on that flight. Like, what the hell?
You think they got a good deal on an Airbnb in South Lebanon as Israel's like firing?
Oh my God. I hope it's affordable to vacation in Beirut around, it's war season. So good timing. But he keeps sending, it's like, here's a video that he's linked in our Discord today. And it's like, here's Israelis raping Palestinian prisoners. It's like, damn. Because like a month ago, they were raping them with dogs. We kept seeing the articles of the Israelis with the trained rape dogs. And it's like, all right, this probably isn't true. I haven't heard anything official that sounds like rape. And then they go to like the official thing that looks like their parliament or something. And the one Israeli politician is like, I object to the rape. I think, why are we sticking sticks up people's rectums? And the guy goes, no limits to what we can do to them. No. And like all of his boys stood up and they're like, yeah, how dare you say we can't rape Palestinians? That's what we fucking do, son. That's how we roll. You can't limit us, not after what they did. That was the feeling in the room. The feeling in the room was, after what they did, there's no limit. Full stop to what we can do to them. Yeah, we got rape dogs. The best rape dogs. Beautiful dogs.
Beautiful dogs.
They've got rape dogs. And look, I'm just saying,
there are some ghastly stories.
Now I know Israel is the good guys, but just from an optics standpoint, if I were like their social media manager, I would probably step in and say, hey, the good guys usually don't have rape dogs. Like maybe you could say they're rescues that are and maybe Palestinians perverted them and they're reverting back to their old ways. They're just Israeli rape dogs. Okay.
I think you're the
rape dog master. Like somebody in Israel right now. There's a guy in Israel right now who's like that guy in Lord of the Rings who had the pit. What are those monsters that they ride? Taylor? The wargs. The warg rider master who had extra scars because he'd been like training wargs to be awful. There's an Israeli somewhere who's been training dogs to fuck people. Okay, forcibly. And look, he didn't just do a weekend seminar of it. No, that's his fucking job.
All you have to do is not neuter them, in my experience, and they try to bang everything.
Do you think he like comes home from work to his wife and she's like,
what a day.
Oh, Ephraim, how was your day at work? He's like, don't even get me started. Some of these dogs just aren't horny.
Like I said, I think they just have a branding issue. I think if they just, made it something a little bit more neutered, no pun intended, but like, rescue squad of canines, make it a little K to be,
and
K9.
Don't have screaming matches about that in your parliament.
So you've got RSK, a legitimate,
legitimate company, a legitimate company.
I mean, I'm glad, but again, I stand with Israel, just so we're very clear.
I know you want your bank accounts and everything.
I don't want to. Leave me alone.
You don't want to get Kanye Wested. You don't want to have a sinister dentist pumping your house full of nitrous.
Plus, I'll be honest. There's that like reptilian. There's that reptilian part of my brain that's like, fuck around and find out. Fuck around and find out. Yeah. Are the bombs too big and dumb? Oh, fuck around and find out. Oh, are you hungry? Are they burning the rice and the flour on the way in? Fuck around and find out.
Did you not like your open air prison?
Nah,
did you try to push back against that? Well,
yes,
fuck
they
around
did.
And find out.
Did you try to get food?
Oh, did we forget when Bill Clinton offered them everything they'd ever asked for and they said no because Iran's pulling the strings and they don't want the conflict to end?
Dude, half of these people weren't alive when Bill Clinton was in office.
There's clearly a right and wrong answer about Israel and Palestine. You guys are being ridiculous.
Yes. I appreciate you playing this part.
I'm so fucking glad that I'm not doing politics anymore. Be a very
easy enough for us.
Like, guys, I'm going to go to the restroom.
Yes.
I'm just saying, God damn it, if Arkansas invaded Missouri and did that shit that they did to Israel, we wouldn't be worrying about it.
Arkansas wouldn't do us. They're a friend.
Kansas would. Historically, it's
would,
a thing.
And we'd roll them historically. So
that's what. Like I always get pissed off when movies make it seem like it used to be that Native Americans and Indians in movies were like fodder and for cowboys to shoot, and just 100% these guys are awful. These guys are the bad guys. And then like recently it's been like, no, they were the good guys all along, living in this symbiotic relationship with nature. They were just worshiping the world and the earth, and Gaia was their spirit animal, and they all no. They've been cannibalizing, raping, and enslaving each other for as long as their history went back. It was how they rolled. Like Comanche means, I'm pretty sure this might be one of those Joe Rogan facts. I'm pretty sure Comanche means enemy. Like, I think it means enemy. It doesn't mean like I think a lot of the Native American names mean like, you know, if it's in their language and not like Blackfeet or something. It means something about it, like, oh, the forest people or the ridge folk. But their name means enemy because they were awful. They had ritualized torture. They thought the longer they made you fucking like scream in agony, the better the magic would be. Like, they were awful people. When they brought white slaves back to the settlement to turn in and do a trade, the white people were so incensed at the treatment that the slaves had received. The girls had their noses burnt off. Their feet were the bottoms of their feet. They would burn them every night so they couldn't run away. They were just so disfigured and mangled that they were like, you know what? Let's kill them. Let's just kill them all, right? Like the white people just killed them all when they saw what they'd done to the prisoners. Of course, then the Indians killed all the rest of the prisoners up. Did all
according to the Oklahoma Historical Society, Comanche means enemy or stranger.
Yeah.
There you go. Look at you, Mr.
They're awful people. And the Apache are just a fucking out branch of them, and there's more of them. And all the Indians were like that. I think some of the bitch-made tribes, like the Cherokee, like the Eastern tribes, they seemed like they had things. Were
they bitch-made?
Yeah. They like capitulated right away. Like they were right away. They were putting on like suits and shit and accepting those big medals.
Dude, if you like were stoked on your morning because you just caught a rabbit and you did a pretty good job erecting your teepee, and then you see the largest things you've ever seen sailing towards you, a possibility that you didn't know existed as a mode of transport. Like, they're going to show up and you're going to be like, all right, let's not be fucking dumb here. What do you guys want? You're offering beads? I don't even know if they're bad traders or if they were just scared. Yes, we will take your beads. Guys, this might be the best chance we have. Like, that's probably more what it was. Like, you're going to, it's like, what are those things sticking out of the side of your large craft? It's like, those are cannons. You're thousands of turns away from that in Civ.
Let's talk about something cheerful then. We could we could go to something more cheerful.
Let's talk about pagers in Lebanon.
Let's talk about pagers in Lebanon. Oh, we're gonna talk about the pagers.
I thought you were gonna cheer me up from the sad documentary.
We don't have to go there right now.
So Kyle is on team. This is fucking cool. Like, what an amazing way to conduct a war. Taylor is on. Look, a lot of these victims could be innocent people. It's indiscriminate bombing and grocery stores.
Not
and shit
could be
like that.
R at this point. Yeah.
Yes, and well, it could be and R can both be true.
I think I'm on the side of it setting a new precedent of fucking terror.
But wait, I just want to finish my thought.
Yes,
I have moved from Kyle's side to Taylor's side. At first, I was all about, like, I guess espionage, subterfuge, and just like what a amazing act of sort of intelligence that they pulled off to like get pagers on their way to hopefully bad guys and, you know, put explosives in them. And then as they're wearing them later on, send a page and 2,000 explosions go off at once. I was like, that's cool. And I still do think that there is an element of cool in it.
Oh, but it's soaked in cool.
There's an undeniable bit of cool to it.
The thing is, let's say that these Hamas people were living in Israel, right? And they were shopping at Israeli grocery stores and malls and whatever. Would they have employed that same tactic? No. I think the answer is no. I think they consider those browner lives to be worth a lot less. And if a couple kids lose their vision, you know what? This is the price that we all have to pay. And they definitely employ tactics they wouldn't employ if it was their own people, their own innocence.
I think they're fighting for their own people. So, you know, obviously there's a border there. 100,000 Israelis are displaced. 100,000. The population of St. Louis is what, like 300,000?
Well, that's the city proper. Nobody lives there.
Imagine that 100,000 people are displaced from their homes because Hezbollah keeps rocketing that side of the border. They're in a war with a state-sponsored, by our definition, terrorist organization whose main mission, it's crazy that these people put it in like their charter. Because like I don't know, we've got some words here. It's like, you know, live free and die, for all mankind. Theirs is always death to Israel. They're like mantra, their motto. It's right in, they chant it. And I don't mean like the guys in the street that the CNN might find, like the leadership does. This was 3,000 or 4,000 devices that went straight. It didn't just go to anybody and everybody. It was upper echelon Hezbollah members. These are your block captains who all got a pager so we can stay in contact. And they managed to put a couple ounces of C4 in them bitches and then send them all a little message that says, look at this. And they are all maimed. They're blinded. Their hands are blown off and there's chunks taken out of their sides. And there was definitely some collateral damage along the way.
There are tons of people who are innocent who are hurt from it. Yeah.
Tons.
They're reporting hundreds of people and
tons
children.
of them.
One child died. That's
hundreds of people.
A lot of lives.
Yes.
Tons.
And like the idea that all of
4,000 pounds. I bet 4,000.
You need 2,000. They're children though, Woody. They weigh less. What's a ton of children?
Okay.
I mean, they
that's like
there
40
were
kids.
a lot of the people maimed who weren't Hezbollah affiliated, seemingly were hospital officials because they used pagers.
Yeah.
What do you mean that? No.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Do you know?
How did a hospital administrator get a Hezbollah upper echelon for block captains?
Because not all of them were just sent to Hezbollah. Clearly,
That's not
some
true.
people
That's made up stuff.
Dude, that's the
No
part,
way.
Kyle. Like, it takes a lot of intelligence to make sure you only get the right pagers. Like,
They had their own order of pagers. They wanted encrypted pagers. It's funny. They're going down the line now trying to find out where the pagers came from. The company whose like brand is on them are like, we don't make pagers. We like license pagers to be made. And so they go to like the street where the manufacturer is listed and there's somebody outside and they're like, yeah, nobody works in there. That's an empty building. And they're like, well, shit, where'd they come from? Right? Like they don't even know exactly where the pagers
but no,
came
Woody's
from.
point of like
what they
that
didn't
you
do,
can't.
What they didn't do is make every pager in Lebanon a bomb and just scatter them about. There was a shipment of pagers to the bad guys. The bad guys were like, you got the goods? Yeah. 3,000 encrypted pagers, just like you wanted, bad guy. And he went, good. I'll take it back to my bad guy boss. And he'll tell me how to distribute them.
Do you think
through
this
our
is a
network
movie?
of bad guys? Yet, do you see what just happened with all the bad guys
Do
exploding?
you
notice?
hundreds of innocent people were harmed and children died?
Absolutely not.
I think we have different
that number
news
up?
feeds.
I think like the idea that you think this went to the Hezbollah hideout like they're fucking Skeletor,
That's
and they
exactly
all
what happened.
it all blew up in
That's
the hideout
exactly
as
what
they were
happened.
wringing
You think
their
they
hands.
scattered them about and they just happened to blow up 3,000?
Where do people
terrorists?
have pagers? They have them in grocery stores, in line at the mall, in
That doesn't make-
hospitals,
what are you talking
at their
about? Have
apartment
them.
building,
What does
at
have
their
them mean?
hotel.
You got to explain what you're even talking about. What do
where
you have them?
Where do people wear
stop.
pagers?
I think you're being.
I genuinely don't understand what you're saying right now.
What if someone's standing here and they have a pager on their hip and there's a child beside them?
The kid's fine.
We don't have to ask
I watched the
questions.
video.
That
the kid was
just
fine.
happened.
Yeah, the kid was fine. I watched it happen in the grocery store. The guy blew up. Guy next to him was
You're
fine. Then I
being
saw a
a
late
goose.
You want
Actually,
the videos?
Kyle,
I've seen
hold
them.
on. I think I've seen the
making this
same
up.
video, but wait a second. I want to talk about it. I think I've seen the same video. And had that pager gone off like seconds before or after, another person would have been hurt. Someone had walked by right in the blast zone and just through good luck, the pager only blew up when only the pager's owner was within, I'll say it's like a 3 feet radius. I don't,
Sure.
Kyle, you
I
agree
saw
with that roughly?
I saw that clip.
Maybe.
What about the
Okay, yeah.
radios?
But seconds on either side of that, people
Yeah.
were right there.
Yeah,
They blew more up.
Woody is right. Like, and what I was saying is that
Right
when
on
you
the wall.
have thousands
You
of
haven't made a
people
point.
going around with pagers, those people aren't
Terrorists.
in a bad guy hideout like you so sillily believe that they're
You
just
still haven't-
they're sitting there
you're-
around a big
you're-
evil table in
I
your
feel
mind,
like your
coming up
audio's
with
cutting out.
machinations.
I feel like your
Mine?
audio is cutting out, and the important part is getting left out. But it's actually just you pretending like something's happening when it's not. So again, what
My
happened
audio
was
is not.
No, he's fucking
Let me-
Ricky, bro.
Yeah,
you're
no,
not
your
making
audio was
any
okay,
sense.
Taylor. He's
No. Your audio's fine, but the amount of information that's getting across is about like your audio's cutting out.
Now
'Cause
I'm
again,
losing his audio.
I need you to explain
For real this time. Like
What
he's
you
actually
think
coming out and his videos
actually,
frozen.
Kyle. Seriously, if you could just make like 10 seconds, your audio did cut out and your video froze.
Okay. Am I now? 1, 2, 3.
Your video's frozen right now, but I hear your audio as you asked.
Lame.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah. So while you're waiting for that to come back, I'll make my point. So you actually put forth this idea
Fair try.
that all of these are going to like a bunch of bad guys sitting around a table in a bad guy hideout, when the reality is people take pagers day to day everywhere. And so even
What does that
though
mean? What are you talking about?
people have pagers on their hip, even if they are all Hezbollah, even if 100% of them were Hezbollah, those people are on in cars driving. They're in line at the grocery store. Some of them have kids nearby. They're in hospitals. They could burn down apartment buildings, houses, hotels.
You almost made your point. Let me.
No, I'm making the point. You just aren't getting it. And so when you indiscriminately, despite where these people are, blow them all up, you get
it's
a
like
huge
you don't
amount
say
of
what you're saying. So what Taylor's trying to say, everybody, is that all people wearing the pagers were terrorists and bad people and evil, and their stated goal was to destroy one of our allies.
Purportedly,
the Gulf Arab nations and every other group in the world that isn't Iran, North Korea, and the evil axis has declared them a terrorist organization. Those guys were wearing bombs that Israel sent them. And whoopsie daisy, innocents might be around them as they go about their day-to-day terror lives.
Yes, so I think I made that clear from the
start. My God, not even close. You didn't want to say it.
I was trying to go through and say that. What about what I said is like controversial that I wouldn't want to say? That strapping bombs to people in public and blowing them up is going to have collateral damage, which it does.
They're used to that over there. First of all, they love doing that shit.
That's why I don't want to be involved in the Middle East, because it's just a bunch of different groups committing terror attacks against each other. Why the fuck do we have to do anything over there?
Let's not get emotional, Taylor. Okay, we're trying to have a civil discussion here about a geopolitical event. You seem to be getting a little emotional about things. I'm just trying to say that the bad guys got bombs sent to them, and your main concern is there might be a not so bad guy near them who gets affected.
No,
and you're also
despite the incredible an innocent child, and not just a not bad guy, an innocent child might have their.
How do you know it's an innocent child? They use child soldiers over there. You know that. You know what ISIS does? They'll send a 7-year-old boy into a shoot house with a Kurd tied up in the back as a live kill target.
See, I think the principal difference is
I got a video of it.
I'm ready and willing to say that like Hezbollah are bad guys and I don't like them, but a lot of these people in Lebanon getting the kids getting blown up, innocents in hospitals getting blown up because they were near someone, that's beyond the pale. That's not cool. That's not okay.
Like World War II or Vietnam or Iraq or every war that gets fought ever since beginning of time. Those are the people who pay the price. That's why you don't do war.
Yeah, war's pretty terrible.
It is.
This escalates this escalates it towards a war with Iran.
It isn't. They
are in a war with Iran.
Yeah,
and
they're striking today.
Didn't the Iranian guy get hit with a pager? Kind of like you told me that. Is it turned out to be true?
The more likely we are to have to join.
The ambassador from Iran got blown up. Like the ambassador for Iran had a Hezbollah. That's how you know that they didn't just scatter explosive pagers about and hope they went to bad guys. From the top to the bottom, these guys had these pagers. The ambassador from Iran to Lebanon had one of these explosive pagers. He's maimed today. All right, and Israel's been taking these guys out left and right with bombs.
I believe there is an agent from Israel embedded in Hamas,
of course,
who convinced them that everybody needs new pagers. You know what? The pagers we have now, they're not secure.
Oh, well,
we need to get 2,000. Do you know something I don't know?
Yeah. Very recently, the leadership of Hezbollah had said the Israelis have cracked our cell phones. They are using our cell phones to guide their missiles. No more cell phones. They've cracked cell phone encryption. We're done with cell phones. No more Slack. No more WhatsApp. It don't work against Israel. Pagers. And I almost want to believe that what it was Israel leaked it to them that they had cracked their phones so they would order pagers because they already had this shipment of pagers cooked up. Look, I don't like that kids got blown up, just so we're clear. That's awful. That's one of the things I hate about the whole post-October 7th Israeli response in Palestine is all them goddamn dead kids who didn't deserve to be cooked alive. You know, I've seen horrific things and I hate seeing it. But I can't think of a way to do this with less collateral damage than 2-ounce bombs that you put on the bad guy. Okay, like when are you ever going? If you shot him with a bullet, the bullet's coming out the back and going somewhere. Like I can't think of a safer way to do this with less collateral damage than this. And the fact that they're like, yeah, but that one kid, that's awful.
What I like
about is a generation of blind kids.
What I really don't like is the precedent that it sets.
Mm-hmm.
And that now we're not worried about drones anymore, which are already fucking scary. Now, if China doesn't like us, if they don't fucking like us, or if we go to some kind of war, then your electronic devices now in unison with malware, cyber warfare is now not just nebulous. It's real. it's actually real and it can blow holes in you and accidentally maim children.
And that's scary to a country that outsourced all of their manufacturing.
That is the
I don't
biggest
like the way that Israel so indiscriminately kills. I can't remember another like first world nation who just doesn't give one fuck about innocent people. When we went into Iraq, when we went into Afghanistan, we were at least trying to get the bad guys. If good ones got hurt too, it was something we regretted, right?
It was
in
a problem,
Israel,
especially in Afghanistan.
It's not a bug, it's a feature. They fucking love it. But there is like a terrible military planner in me that's like, these guys have been reduced to smoke signals at this point. They don't trust their phones. They don't trust their pagers. They don't trust their walkie-talkies. We haven't mentioned that yet, but that's the next thing they passed around.
Hell yeah.
Right? These guys are going to be smoke symbols and fucking drums to communicate their messages.
They used pigeons in Afghanistan.
I didn't know that. And like, man, you talk about crippling the enemy. It's a lot more than the 9 kills.
Yeah, it's incredible what they've done. There's been movies that did similar things. The Kingsman, if you remember, there was that whole thing where everyone's cell phone had been turned into an actual bomb that blew their heads off or whatever, something like that. It's incredibly impressive what they did. It shows that they are reading these guys' fucking dirty underwear. You know, like they know everything there is to know about the organization. They're airstriking today. They're hitting targets in southern Lebanon, which is, right above northern Israel, I guess, or the northern part of Israel.
I feel like Woody hit the nail on the head with, like, clearly from what we've seen, the way they've waged this war against Hamas and now Hezbollah, like, it is not a bug, it's a feature. Like, they really don't mind innocent people dying in droves.
Yeah, I don't think they mind in Palestine. I would argue that they're being very accurate right now in southern Lebanon with laser guided munitions taking out single houses. And I would argue that there has never been a smarter, more accurate bomb than the one that you strap to your enemy, and that's what these pagers are. We've got that missile that has the blades. I always forget what it's called, but we've got that badass missile with the blades, and they're like, it can kill the passenger and leave the driver alive in a car. I'm like, wow, that's incredible. What a great feature. This would kill the guy in the back seat and not hurt the driver too. These are little pops. It's that they're on you.
I get you, but I'm picturing my own cell phone.
Yeah.
Odds are it's going to blow up in my pocket. I'm the guy who holds it the most. Mm-hmm. But I wouldn't say Jackie and Colin are safe. One, they could be very close to me.
Not your phone,
or
though.
Two, they could be using it.
They didn't put it in his day-to-day family phone, though, right? They put it in his terror pager that only gets pages from the terror cell. It would be more like your secret bat phone.
Yeah.
It's
right? That they had them on them in public around innocents, and then they indiscriminately set them all off.
I didn't see any innocent people get hurt. Look, I saw 2 different people. I saw 2 videos.
Interesting news.
I saw 2 videos of people exploding, and 3 actually. I saw 3 videos of people exploding, and no one around them was injured. Everybody was spooked a little.
Checkmate, Taylor. 3 out of 2.
I just don't know. You make it sound
I guess
like
all these reports out of Lebanon are just
report?
Fibs.
I would love a link, or I would love you to at least describe the
Lebanon
report to me.
Was it
in
Lebanon?
Like lots of
it's
people who are not Hezbollah affiliated have been harmed.
In what way? In what manner?
By being close to people with bombs on them.
You sure about that?
Yeah.
I don't believe you. I'm going to need a report.
And the walkie-talkies blew up too,
I linked you the one of the 8-year-old girl who died.
She was holding it. She was bringing it to her dad.
Then there was a little boy, I think a 9-year-old boy, and then a 10-year-old child.
Story. I'm going to need a link for that one.
Couldn't need a link, brother.
I've heard about it.
I saw the kid that died, and the kid was holding the pager. That's horrific. Must be terrible. I wonder if the dad will remain in his terrorist position there with Hezbollah now that his child has paid the price.
It's probably going to be some fucking lunatic terrorist now.
Oh, no, we can do something real bad now, like shoot missiles into our homes every day.
The walkie-talkie's got 20 kills instead of 9.
The walkie-talkie.
Yeah, maybe because they're bigger, or maybe because they're next to heads. I don't know.
Yeah, probably heads. Yeah. It's like they don't have pagers. They can't use cell phones. They'll get triangulated. So now they have their walkie-talkies, and they're just like fucking talking to their, you guys doing all right over there? And then you hear doom, 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 doom.
And what I'm trying to make a distinction here, Taylor, between what would definitely happen in that some kids would pick them up or be handed them or be operating them, and they would be maimed, killed, everything above. But what I don't think is very likely anyway is that the person in the car with you, the person standing next to you in line is going to be injured in any kind of a meaningful way that you wouldn't treat with a home first aid kit. It's shooting bits of plastic and metal at you real hard, and it goes in you, and it sucks. If you're 3 to 5 feet away or something like that. But I saw those pops. Those people went, ooh, and like ran away.
I mean, did you see the videos of like the people in the hospital with like their faces?
The people who are wearing them and operating them.
Yeah.
That's what we want. That's what we want. They
an explosion on that terrorist doesn't like just magically not affect a person standing next to him in public at the grocery store or in the car.
It does though. So it's got this.
Doesn't seem to.
It did though. Like again, we're back to that thing where
we should go back to fighting with swords.
You can't find me the example of the guy 5 feet away who was maimed terribly
at the grocery store. I think he was by produce, right? And that explosion was big enough that like I've stood next to people looking at produce close enough to be hurt. Thankfully, in the video I saw, nobody was that close. But you do it 2,000 times and somebody will be, and people were.
It doesn't look like it to me because I think I think you need to be hanging on to that bomb for it to really fuck you up in a severe way. I think if you're 3 to 5 feet away from 2 ounces of C4, you're fine. Not fine.
I think,
but you're not dead. You're not maimed.
We can definitely all agree that the only people having this conversation about the logistics of whether or not innocent people will be harmed are us, and not the people actually making the pagers.
Dude, imagine the party right now. Imagine the party at Israeli headquarters. High five.
Yeah.
They're doing the chair thing.
Yo, Shlomo, They got Shlomo, the pager maker, up on that chair right now. He's wearing a crown. He's got a robe on, like he's doing that, like the traditional king thing, where you got the scepter and like the robe with the little checkers on it. Like
somebody they are smashing on a wine glass for some reason. I don't know.
Yeah, they're stepping on fucking champagne flutes. Bibi Netanyahu is giving him the fucking Star of David or whatever their highest medal is
for honor.
I don't know, but I choose to believe
it has to be the Star of David. What else would it be?
I would take it back if I were them.
The
that
golden
would be our greatest
credit
honor,
card.
the Star of David. Here you go, a black card. It's a black credit card, no limit. No, I think we more or less agree, but like what's flavoring or tainting your opinion just a little bit is your isolation. No, Taylor, is how much you hate us being potentially involved, how much you dislike Israel for taking all of our money from us, and how much you don't want any involvement with Iran.
Yes,
and I can sympathize with all of that, but I always thought of Iran as like a bully, and they seem to if you like appease them or if you ignore them, they just seem to get more aggressive, take a scarier stance. And I've just never heard them be like, the Americans have been nice to us for the last 5 years. Maybe we'll get over it. No, they just. So I like that Israel's constantly killing their scientists. Like it doesn't even get reported much anymore. Their scientists and their generals. After Soleimani, Trump took out Soleimani. He was supposed to be the person you couldn't touch, this Iranian general. Trump blew him the fuck up. And there wasn't much of a kickback from Iran. They shelled one of our bases and some people got concussions. Yeah. That was the response. After that, Israel got brazen. They were like, oh, really? They'll just take it, huh? See, Israel's a bully too. And they saw that Iran had a little bitch in their blood. Yeah. So you know what they did? They went to it used to be the Shah of Iran's palace. It's this pretty cool palace near a ski resort that was that's near Tehran. And it's now the Revolutionary Guard like palace or something like that. One of their higher up generals, I can picture his face. He looks like Santa Claus with a crew cut, was staying there as like a guest. They put a bomb under his bed and they climbed a tree outside and they waited till he turned out the lights, counted 10 and blew him up in their own building, like the most secure possible building in Iran. And they paid 2 Iranian guards off enough money, enough shekels to, and they got him into the West, I'm sure too. Put a bomb under his bed and wait. Look, I think Iran's the bad guys. I don't think Israel's the good guys though. And I think that as long as we don't have American boots on the ground anywhere near that area of the world, I'm happy to see them like Israel shit on them left and right.
Yeah,
I would
don't
love
care
to
what
watch
Israel.
World's Most Dangerous Jobs and see them go through the list of like Bering Strait crab fishermen, Pacific Northwest logger, Iranian nuclear scientist topping the list is the greatest death per.
That's what he was. That's what that guy was. He was that. I'm glad you said it. That's what he was. I think he was a nuclear scientist. No, I continue to stand with Israel. I think they've been a little heavy-handed in some of the civilian population.
Yeah, but you like that, eh?
Well, I'll tell you what else. I like what they're doing in Lebanon. I bomb it. Dude, we keep talking about the walkie-talkies and the cell phones. That was only like 4,000 people that got blown up. They're bombing constantly in Lebanon, and every day it's like 100 dead or something.
Well,
and every day they're like, they got a guy's picture, and they're like, this guy was third in command. It's like, you killed the third in command like 8 times this week.
I know. That's the new third in command.
And you imagine the promotion? Like, Hamid, I got some good news.
You're like,
some bad news.
What about this photo? That was a very dangerous child.
Wait, the thing is, though,
baby face terror.
Before, it's what sucks for them is it's not judged equally, because the attempts by Lebanon, by Hezbollah specifically, not Lebanon, Hezbollah, the attempts by them are multitudes, exponentially higher than Israel's response. So since October 7th, Hezbollah shot 9,000 rockets at Tel Aviv. Now, it's so easy to be like, I don't want my money paying for bombs in Israel. And like, I totally get that. But you don't actually always pay for bombs. Like, you might not be paying for a bomb.
Their healthcare.
Your tax money actually prevents a genocide in many ways, because 9,000 rockets does equal 1 million deaths. If you shot 9,000 rockets and you get 100 people with each rocket, and this is a very populated part, it's the whole country. The country's small. This is 1 million people. They wanted to kill 1 million people when they shot rockets at Tel Aviv.
They blew up that playground like a month ago and killed all the little children.
Yeah. But the thing is, they stop all of these, so they're ineffective. But they wanted to, so they do that, and then it kills one child. So what they do is they drop a bomb in Beirut, which is like, yo, that's fucked up, dude. And it's like, well, yeah, you shot 9,000 at our capital. We just happened to hit you. And in fact, we hit one guy. We hit one person. We chose one person and killed that guy. If Israel shot 9,000,
hundreds of people, maybe thousands at this point, of innocents are being killed in Beirut, right?
Okay, innocents.
I think there's a lot. I feel so bad.
Beirut is not Afghanistan. They've got like bars and like nightlife.
Oh,
and shit.
Do you think they're hitting the good part of town where the bars and the nightlife are? I bet there's some parts of St. Louis where I could drop a 2,000 bomb and mostly hit criminals.
But I won't argue with you.
I feel bad for Lebanon, but like
the rubble, the dogs would sniff for days before they found an innocent.
A main difference, though, is when you live in Lebanon and Israel's like, leave this area, we're about to bomb it, you can go. In Palestine, they weren't allowed to go. Hamas was like, stay the fuck there. You're going to die for this shit, and it's going to be good for Palestine. Like, this is a bit different. But
that's not any more fair than the Lebanese government, or Hezbollah rather, not the Lebanese government. Hezbollah saying, oh, Israelis, get out of this area. We're sending rockets. It's like, well, they shouldn't have to leave. Like, they're living there. Like those people in Beirut.
But they target Tel Aviv on purpose. They never, ever said leave. No one has ever said to anyone in the Middle East, leave before we bomb it, except for Israel. Not a single country there has ever said, leave, we're about to bomb it.
But wait. I think all Palestine says is leave.
Yeah, that's all that most of these Middle Eastern countries, if we're just coming at it from their perspective, all of their positions are leave.
Leave what?
Like leave the Middle East. We don't want you to be here. That's what.
That's
not saying that's right or wrong.
Is like, hey, point. I want you to leave your country. Everyone's like,
no. I'm saying Israel's like,
I heard every word, but
yeah, they're like, leave this area. We are bombing this area of your country. Don't be there. Everyone else who's like, well, you leave.
They give a neighborhood.
If you tell Israel to leave, if everyone in Israel, you have to get up and go. There's nowhere for those people to go. You understand that, right? There's not a single country that I'm allowed in all around there.
In Canada.
Right. As a Jew with Israel stamped on my passport, I would never fly over Syria because God forbid they have to do an emergency landing. I don't ever want to be there.
This is just a silly argument. Jews live in every Western country just fine.
Okay. So if it's river to the sea, how does an Israeli leave Israel? Where do they go? Let's say Palestine is free. Israel's gone. Where is he going? Yes.
New Jersey. I was there.
New York.
They've done it before.
It's very difficult to actually come to the USA. That's a really difficult thing. However, every country around there has the exact same culture as Palestine. Why doesn't Egypt take Palestinians? Oh, they did before, actually. Why doesn't Jordan, which actually 75% of what Palestine was exists in Jordan? Why doesn't Jordan take Palestinians?
Well,
wait,
because refugees are an enormous drain on the system. And so saying, all right, you have to take these millions of people, most countries are going to go,
Palestine.
That's a huge drain.
Jordan is literally 75% of what Palestine was is in Jordan. Now, if they want Jerusalem, I understand. Religion is powerful. Mm-hmm. Israel gave half of Jerusalem to Palestine. They go to the same wall and pray. They're allowed to be there.
Is the argument you're making that Israelis and Palestinians are equally unlikable and unpopular?
I'll tell you that, yes, right now, probably to the rest of the world, yeah. But like realistically, when 800,000 Palestinians had to move and they were kicked out, 800,000 Jews were kicked out of Arab countries at the same time in response. So this is the way that the cards fell. This is where we are. Saying like Israel isn't going to exist just isn't realistic because no country would do that. You would never rescind your neighborhood to Native Americans. You would never do that. That didn't involve you.
Yeah, let me just say, I'm allowed my black powder musket and my tomahawk, and I have seen Mel Gibson's The Patriot no less than 15 times. It would go poorly.
There's a lot of places that could take these people in, but they don't. It's Israel's responsibility. They don't want that. When I see that Hezbollah shot a rocket and killed a kid, I'm like, dude, leave them the fuck alone. You shot 9,000 rockets and killed one child. So I'm like, not that like feeling bad for a Hezbollah dude who got his pager blown up or walkie-talkie blown up, or a guy that went to go meet in a meeting. Like,
we're like, not either. To be clear,
I think
like, we don't care about Hezbollah.
Of course, but it's just like
innocents are being killed in droves in these conflicts.
So, but like much more in Yemen.
What, 6 million?
Do you know how many Muslims die in China, in Africa? But we only care about this is literally the smallest Muslim population affected out of all the Muslim like genocides that are happening. Uyghurs in China are literally thrown in concentration camps by the millions.
But Harley, we're funding the Israeli thing. That's my objection. I know that
you're funding the Palestinian one too, by the way.
Right. And I sound biased sometimes because I'm always pointing out the Israeli mistakes. I get it. Sorry, Mom. But really, I just want to withdraw America from this conflict.
Yes.
Both sides are killing civilians. Both sides are bad. If this was Reddit, everybody sucks here.
So what do?
We leave the Middle East to
Let
their
me know
shit.
when it's over.
Yeah. I could not care less about Israel or Palestine or Hezbollah or Iran. Our involvement in this region of the world is a catastrophic failure.
You don't think it's a good idea to keep the straight up formulas working?
Horrible idea.
You don't like your electronics arriving in a timely
fashion?
We
couldn't do that. We didn't have that for a long time prior to all this. And
you so like driving your internal combustion engine, like.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about
there's a lot of things.
You know how oil works is we go to Saudi Arabia and we go, how much oil can we buy? And they go, here's the oil. The idea that we would go into the Middle East, spend $3 trillion on a war in order to buy $80 billion of oil is if I spent $100 million on the most high-tech robbery equipment on earth to break into your house and steal everything you own. Did I do a smart thing or am I retarded because I could have bought it off of you for much less? That's the situation in the Middle East. They are willing to sell us as much oil as we want.
I don't know what we're talking about. I'm talking about what happens if we pull out and our aircraft carriers aren't there to let Iran know they better not do anything. Then Iran can respond. And then we have to go.
No, we don't. Not if we cut ties with all these countries that don't benefit us.
Just us all
I
alone
hear
on
Kyle,
a spill, I guess.
and the Strait of Hormuz thing. I'm like, maybe I'm being short-sighted because it is a major shipping channel, and apparently the whole world's supply chain gets messed up if one boat goes sideways.
Israel doesn't secure
Trump
that.
pulled some. U.S. secures that, and Trump made some changes.
Yeah, and so the idea that we need Israel to secure that is, I think, incorrect. Like
it's
the whole what it seems to be in the Middle East is that
you're right.
You know,
it's definitely incorrect.
Iran.
That's not what I said.
So Iran wants a regional conflict with Israel.
No, they don't.
But no. But they don't want a conflict with the United States because the U.S. will dominate Iran. We may have a ton of losses. It'll cost $1 jillion, but we will win in the end. And so the idea is that, however, if Israel and Iran engage in a purely regional conflict, Iran will likely win that because they're a larger nation. So what Israel wants is for the U.S. to intercede on their behalf in this conflict because Israel cannot defeat Iran by themselves, but we will easily
Do you think
defeat
Israel
Iran.
has nuclear weapons?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I think Iran might.
Iran doesn't.
They might. You know,
There's like the type to be able to, if they have it, they've never tested it.
Iran
and
has
if you've
something
never
worse than
tested
nuclear
it,
weapons.
if
So
you've never
Iran-
tested it, you can't. You don't have a nuke.
Iran has ballistic missiles and they have fissile material. They could make a dirty bomb. There was this idea that came about in the early 50s. And actually, even before that, it was written about in Popular Science magazine called Death Sand. And the idea is irradiating a lot of sandy particles with an irradiate that has a half-life of, say, 70 days or 150 days. There's several really potent radioactive materials that are like that. And then dropping huge clouds of sand over an area, and it would kill everyone there in a few days.
That's incredibly scary.
And then after a few months, it's no longer irradiated. None of the structures were blown up because, again, you're using a radioactive material that every 70 days it becomes half as radioactive.
Sorry if I missed it. Iran is researching this, or we figured this out?
Oh, this was our thing.
Oh, this is our. Of course it is.
We almost used this on the Chinese in North Korea to deny an area to them, like 100 miles long. Was it 100 miles wide? Because that seems extreme. It was like 100 miles
much
wide.
Sand?
You wouldn't use actual. Well, we're good at that. If anybody's good at moving a lot of like stuff and dropping it somewhere, it's have you seen that Galaxy plane that we used to ship stuff? They put smaller planes in it. They flies tanks around.
It's a plane that flies planes.
It's a plane that flies planes that fly planes. It's crazy.
There's an autistic listener right now, like, or
Dude,
he's like, it's the Lockheed C5 Galaxy, large military transport designed and built by Lockheed.
So I've always said that, like, Iran.
Can I see a picture of the Galaxy plane, Zach?
Yeah,
It's
show
so
that
fun.
plane. Show it, and if you can find like its wheels, like rotate 360 degrees and pop, and they also the plane can squat. It's enormous.
How
it's
much?
gargantuan. But anyway, with the Israel's always at the UN showing a ticking clock of like how long it'll be till Iran has their nuclear weapon, and they call that like Israel's doomsday. And I just don't think that Iran is wanting that business because they could do something like I just described with a ballistic missile that they have plenty of.
Big. I think I've been on bigger planes than that. Am I crazy?
Yeah.
Oh,
How
they
big is this
definitely
thing?
want.
There's
They
a
definitely want
helicopter
nuclear.
in the back.
Yeah, but
They definitely want nuclear
747 has, like,
capabilities,
2
though.
floors and stuff like it. Am I? I need to Google.
I mean,
looks
come on,
big.
dude.
Yeah.
It looks like the blue whale of planes. Look at the landing gear down there. How there's like lots and lots of wheels. Oh my
I did
God.
see a
There's,
plane
like,
on the
multiple
side that
Abrams
looked like
tanks.
it could fit in there.
That's crazy.
Under the
and
wing, there was like a
the world's
like a
biggest
stealth
plane that ever
drone-looking
flew
thing.
was in Ukraine. The Russians destroyed it. I can't remember the name of it. That's crazy. That's
such
like
a tight fit.
Yeah, that's like a smaller plane fuselage or whatever. Like the whole structure going in. That's cool. Yeah, I bet we've got a bunch of those. I bet we don't have 5. I bet we got 50 or something stupid like that.
That's the craziest thing is I looked at like the capabilities of the U.S. Army, and there were things that were like on par, like men, the amount of infantry and blah blah blah. Sometimes U.S. getting destroyed. Then it went to like boats and airplanes, and it was multitudes more. You're just like, whoa, there's so many fucking planes, so many fucking boats, like crazy carriers. But I spoke to a friend of mine who's on a boat, like a ship, U.S. Navy, and he was like, "Oh yeah, sometimes we do like these like ride-bys where like we know that we're like patrolling water and the Chinese are patrolling, and like we'll be coming up to the Chinese ship, and so we're all told to like go to our stations, and we're all there, and we like slowly pass them and like look at them, and they look at us, and like we're like 50 meters away from each other, which is really close in these big boats, and they're just like cruising by each other. And I'm like, that's so crazy. I'm like, is there anything ever like anything crazy out there you see? He's like, well, he was like, I don't know if the upper people already know about this and have sorted it out or whatever. He's like, but we've been there before, and we'll always know that, you know, a Chinese ship is going to come over the horizon in like 5 minutes. We'll see that. But what's happened lately over the past like year or so is we'll be out there, and then all of a sudden we see a Chinese ship with our eyes, probably like, you know, 600 meters away. But the problem is if you see it, it's too late. And it never showed up on our readings before we saw it by eye. So I don't know if like the higher ups know of a new technology or something or whatever it is.
Chinese.
But he's like, for us, it's fucking weird when all of a sudden there's a big ass Chinese ship there that's as big as ours, and we didn't know it was going to be there, and now we see it. And it's probably, if you're in that position, you're like, oh shit, like surprise, are we getting attacked? Like that's probably like
I have 100% confidence in the United States military.
Me too, especially the Navy.
Have you seen that manta ray thing they have now?
Does it scare you though that like eventually that won't be the case?
It never will be the case.
That's if you keep pushing for it, bro, that's exactly what'll happen, Taylor.
How long did Rome last? How long did Rome last?
1,000 years. Well, from the Roman Kingdom in like 700 BC up until the fall of the main Roman Empire.
That we only have 750 years left.
No, there's never been a democracy that's lasted longer than 270 years, right?
Is that us?
No,
we're
not a democracy, Taylor. You know that.
Oh my god!
We're a
you know what scares me? What's a great? I think it's a good question though that he asked.
I make that distinction because I'm a Republican.
I think it's actually like when I think of it, like I think it's scary the future being different than the one that I thought we were going towards, and it is like, you know, I love living in Montreal. I love Canada. It is a mosaic of cultures, and I love that. But here is here. And I don't want here to stop being here. And I fear that in the future, that here won't be here. Here will be more like somewhere else.
I looked it up, Kyle. I went full autism on this thing. It looks like a galaxy is about 20% bigger than a 747.
I bet the lift capacity
That's true. We are the longest existing democracy as the U.S. in global history.
There's a good book here I linked. It's called The Next 100 Years. Very interesting stuff. He talks about, I don't know.
The first note is like we're pretty much almost there.
Just one last thing. On the plane, my autism demands this.
Yes.
747 carries the space shuttle around. Just saying.
Not anymore.
And also, Woody, I would love if you would lead into facts more often with my autism demands this. It's a very funny way to preface the sentence. My autism demands this, but that is a tortoise, not a turtle.
It's just how you should ask to get. It's just ask how you should like start intimacy with your wife.
You know what?
My autism is demanding something,
and their fucking propaganda, spilling some knowledge.
Hey,
shout out to Woody's mom, though. We're gonna keep fighting the good fight. We're doing it for the future, for you,
he's gonna trade
for everyone.
For you.
Shout out to Mossad.
Dude, I know we're wrapping up.
To the troops, call, both sides.
There was a point where she saw this Palestinian mother interviewed. And she was very happy about the damage they were doing to the Israelis. And my mom was like, they should kill her baby because that's what happened to the Israelis. And then like 10 minutes later in the call, my mom was celebrating the death of the Palestinian deaths, you know, in civilians. And I'm like, Mom, they're going to kill your son to make this fair. Like if you're going to celebrate innocent deaths, then your kid should be
I've had
killed,
family
right?
members say some crazy shit about all this stuff. And I've heard it's an older generation thing. Like if you really think about it, they were far more disconnected than we were. I mean, they grew up like in wrestling. It's just like, or movies. The bad guy was a person from another country. That's it. That's all. It's just a person from another country. And
it always is.
It is. It is. But like, it's true. Like I've heard relatives say some fucked up stuff. And I'm like, dude, we agree. But what you're saying is that's a whole other level.
Tristan.
Him and Brock. Try to get a good friend of the show, Israeli tank commander Shlomo, to come on tonight. I wanted to pair you guys together. I can link you. I can give you his Discord. You guys can.
His name's really Shlomo, or is that his like gamer tag?
That's just the like alias that I'm applying to him because he's a war criminal and all. No, he's fighting the good fight over there, defending his people from fucking terrorists, as we all know. And
it's all perspective, right?
Absolutely, it is. I promise you, if the cartel came over here on paragliders and carried away a few like Texas University girls, like it'd be a different fucking story, right? We'd be like, oh no, the poor cartel. Did you see how many bombs they dropped on them? It's awful.
But be honest, you wouldn't intercept their communication devices and wire them up to blow up, and then wire up the next round of communication devices to blow up.
And that's just be like, prelude. All right, we've got the largest taco stand in our sights.
We drop 2,000-pound bombs in their city and destroy anyone who's remotely in the vicinity of a bad guy. I called my mom for her birthday, and she's like, I want to wring your little neck for not supporting Israel enough. It's like,
your mom said that?
Yeah.
Did she mention me and my support?
She's like, I was listening to the pod. You are not.
My stance, she does. She listens to the podcast. My stance is basically everybody's bad here, right? Like, there's no doubt that what was it, October 7th? Do I have that right?
That's it. Yeah. Almost come back around.
There's no doubt that those guys were awful. They killed innocent people, and they freaking celebrated it, and they loved it. And
hey, these are journalists you're talking about, and doctors.
So, no doubt, bad guys. But then Israel dropping 2,000-pound bombs in the city, making the rubble bounce, destroying the university. I see their soldiers laughing about how they'll never have an educated population again.
Aha!
That's evil too. And you don't get to say like you know what, 1,000 people died, therefore we kill everybody.
No,
you do not.
I feel like
it's got to be like 3,400 somewhere around there. That's when you go to town.
If it was like, hey, you know what? Our new rule is 5-1. We'll stop when we have 5,000 or 5,500 confirmed deaths.
I feel like we have our perspective is so skewed on what the move is or isn't, and like I don't have the guts to press the button on killing 40,000 people if they were holding like a cousin of mine or something. Like, I don't know if I have the guts to make that call or that. These things like Shlomo's got it. Shlomo, he's pressing that button. Shlomo's pressing it not in slow-mo. That's not slow-mo, Shlomo.
I send this text and all your banking shut down.
It's never that type of Jew in the tank, though.
That's a different
type of Jew is in the tank. Tell me.
These like
I always this button and your house explodes.
I feel like the whole 2,000-pound bomb thing. Like, I look at that, and I'm like, that's got to be like sending a message. Because as soon as October 7th happened, a couple of countries basically reasserted that they were at war with Israel. And so, I mean, if you're like that kid at lunchtime and everyone wants to kick your ass, you know what I mean? And they're pushing you, and if you pull out like a little blade and or stab someone with a pen one time, that's too crazy, dude. We were calling you names. You just stabbed me with a pen. That's fucked up. I don't know if people call him names tomorrow. And I think that's like what they're trying to do. I mean, like, once again, I'm not saying I would do it, or I'm not like,
not a great take. We shouldn't make Harley defend Israel.
No.
You know how this works. You know what he has to say. Let's just not put him in this fucking spot. It's like we had one black guy on here. And we're like, so did he? Kind of a piece of shit and an embarrassment to your people, huh?
Dude,
like, kind of a strike in
so
your culture.
What were you guys up to in that man? I'm sorry, what was Diddy up to in that mansion? No.
Yeah, I got a couple. Diddy?
What is with you guys and baby oil? It's not a great lubricant.
The attorney's defense. By the way, everybody sucks here with the Israel thing. I just want to get out there.
The attorney.
I love Hamas.
Disagree. There's bad guys and good guys in this
Dan
thing. That's the
Bilzerian
Kyle
just
thing.
tweeted that though. Dan Bilzerian today tweeted he was like, Hamas are very chill and they're doing the right thing. Something like that. Something along those lines.
Did he?
Yeah, so seriously, he was literally like, bro, Hamas is chill.
Them. I wonder
He's a gambler. He's picking his side.
Yeah.
Right?
I think he's moving to Dubai or something.
Maybe
he's selling his house
odds.
here. So I feel like if you're going to like the Middle East, it's just, being like, dude, fuck those guys.
Yeah.
You know?
And you would
Plus,
get,
I think
get odds betting on the Palestinians if it's a straight up conflict, because it's like it would be like betting on the US in 1980 against Russia. Like
way worse than
there's
that.
no chance Palestine can win in just a straight up.
What is Palestine? What even is it?
Did you see a guy ask Fuzi that today on
I think
the
it's
street?
a neighborhood.
I saw that on Twitter. Some guy was like, "What is Palestine?" And Fuzi was like, he went full Fuzi. You know what? Like, I feel like the whole Mossad thing and the concept of like, oh, you think that they planned this with this result with that much foresight? Come on, that's not. You think this is a movie? And then all of the terrorists' pagers blow up, and then their walkie-talkies. And if that happened if I played a Tom Clancy video game and that happened, I'd be like, I miss when the games were realistic.
Yeah.
They go with all this crazy. If that happened in like a movie, a Jason Bourne movie, that would be like the whole plot. 40 minutes would be dedicated to making the audience believe that he could intercept the terrorists and put in like a little tiny bomb. Oh, and then they switched the walkie-talkies, but those also blew up. Oh, and then all the top guys meet in a building and then they strike that building and take come on, dude. It's like lazy writing.
I think when they get if they ever do reveal how they did this, I think it's going to be that they didn't intercept anything. They were the company. They went and they bought a company through enough third-party companies, and then they licensed the product so they could make them wherever, probably in Israel. And then they had a contact, and I don't think they ever intercepted like a shipment of pagers and like tampered with them. I think they were the manufacturer that they were being ordered from. I think it was they said it was 10 years of planning on this.
I don't know anything about that part of it, but in my conversation with my mom, where apparently I don't fairly chastise Hamas, she was telling me what they did was, you know how you can picture a pager with like 2 AA batteries in it or a smoke detector or whatever. One of the batteries was a fake. It looked like a AA battery, but it was actually a bomb. I don't know the mechanism of how they got it to trigger, but that was
they sent the easiest part. They sent the text.
Yeah.
Well, it's the part after that. Like they sent the text to activate it, but how did they? I guess they redid the hardware.
Apparently, it was a
2
ounce. The bomb is like 2 ounces, so it's like because you also have to hold it and not be like, God, this pager's so heavy.
Well, I think it was a fake AA battery, but how did they get that to explode?
Well, remember, like cell phones and pagers have long been used to trigger bombs. It's going to when it sends its electrical signal that normally goes to the display, I suppose, they're just probably ramping that voltage up a little bit and then sending it to a detonator. And a detonator is just something that pops and explodes from the electrical signal, and that's setting off the C4, and then you've got a bomb in your hands. It's so cool. I can't get over how cool it is.
It's crazy. Imagine you're a dude, like you're a Hezbollah guy, and you were like taking a shower, the pager blew up, you saw that happen, you're like, oh, that's crazy. And then like the next day you were like taking a shit, left your walkie-talkie outside, it blew up also, you're like, oh fuck. And then you go home to play on your PS5. For sure you're gonna play FIFA because you're a Hezbollah terrorist, you would play FIFA.
100%.
You're excited to play FIFA on PS5. You were looking at that thing and you were like, bro, the fucking bomb that they probably put in my PS5, you probably throw the thing out the window. You're like, no shot. No one's playing PlayStation in the house.
I didn't hear this on the news, but I saw the video online of it was in Lebanon, and these guys had a thumbprint scanner to get in their building, and they're so afraid to use it. They're like sticking their finger on it with their whole body leaned away. They look like Wile E. Coyote lighting a fuse.
That's crazy because you are like, damn, you're thinking crazy shit. You're like, yo, they know our thumbprints. How did they target just our pagers? Like, so you're for sure crazy paranoid. Like that's literally that's actually like a psyop. That's like one of those things where you're like every piece of technology you're like Mossad's gonna blow this up.
I heard a senior Iranian guy just insist that everyone involved in this gets rid of their cell phone because he doesn't trust them anymore. And dude, smart like move. You said, it is smart.
But that's why they were already using pagers, by the way.
I know, right?
They were already like did that, and then the pagers, and then walkie-talkie. It's just like,
and then the walkie-talkies, and now what? They're gonna do the lighters. So
and it is crazy that it was like I heard like a purpose of it was to like target the reproductive organs also. So like like a lot of them, they blow up on their hip. This is like
blow your dick off.
Yeah, I read a stat that said how many reproductive organs were damaged in this.
A stat?
Yeah, there was a
871 balls destroyed.
Something like that. That's actually what I saw that, and I was like, on the internet, I believe it.
I just thought about this, Woody, because I know you said you and your mom are having a little tiff about Israel. Here's a little way to troll her. Does she know that over a third of Lebanon is Christian?
I don't know what she knows, but yeah,
that might throw her a little loop.
Used to be majority Christian country.
Terrorists are terrorists, Taylor. Terrorists are terrorists.
But that used to be a majority Christian country. A lot of Lebanese people live in Montreal because they left. Fear. Well, yeah, I would have left in fear. Maybe they had the reasons. I don't know.
No, I'm attacking Taylor. This isn't about you.
Yeah, I was just trying to. I don't want to sound like. I'm trying to also. I'm not trying to sound like. I'm not trying to like. There was a really crazy quote though that Netanyahu had said.
Just one.
Yeah. No, a freshie that was like really like oof. It was we've just begun. We're going to change the Middle East.
Ooh, I like that.
I knew you would.
Oh, do you like the Middle East the way it is now? Are you a big fan of that? I think it needs a little change.
I'm not allowed to go to quite a few places.
He's going to be the mechanism of change matters.
It'll be us doing the change.
Of the Middle East. Hope and change. Look,
yeah, but Taylor's like, yeah,
I'm ready to go. Aren't you?
You know, if there's one thing I know, it's that bringing in the U.S. military into the Middle East to fix them works great.
Are you a pussy?
Yeah, and the best part about it, cheap as can be. Wreck your economy for decades doing it.
Wreck it? It's going to set a fucking fire under the boiler. Do you know what a real war would do to our economy? Do you know how the inflation? Oh my God. It would be great, Taylor. It would be great. Who do you think's making those bombs? Do you think we don't outsource that?
You can't let the rest of the world know what type of soldiers you'd be sending out, though, in this day and age. It's like Russia. Russia came to war, and everyone's like, wait, I don't know if you guys think you have it like you had it. If like the U.S. like came out, like Gen Z, Zoomers, Gen Alpha, the iPad kids, oh my God, it could be really, people would be like, hold on, that whole country is fucking retarded.
Wait a minute, you think the iPad kids can't win? That's how they fight now. These guys are better with an Xbox controller than the Ukrainians.
I guess it's all drones. It would be all drones. Right? How many boots on the ground?
They're gonna wreck out.
Didn't they just send like a couple hundred, or not 100, like 20,000 or something more troops to the Middle East?
Pish posh.
Oh. The
Israel?
US?
A small security force.
A small security force. I don't know. But it was like 1 week after Kyle's like, there's not going to be American boots on the ground.
Security force.
There aren't going to be American boots on the ground in Iran. Don't you dare twist my words, you propagandist, you anti-Zionist. What's the opposite of a pig? Goat?
What's the opposite of a pig? How do you get there? How is that the opposite of a pig?
You need a really clean flying animal.
They're so similar in most ways.
Nah, it's a butterfly. Continue.
No, there it is. The U.S. is sending a small number of additional troops to the Middle East in response to a sharp spike in violence.
That's right. Small.
Major General Pat Ryder, Pentagon press secretary, would not say how many more forces will be deployed or what would they would be tasked to do. The U.S. now has 40,000 troops in the region.
Let's go.
So it seems like some boots are on the ground regionally.
I don't know why you're so anti-war. It's what
no. I saw in the debate. There's no boots on the ground.
Yeah, there's no boots on the ground, man. Except for all the boots on the ground.
Yeah, but the one thing about war,
there's none.
Something about war and all
where
this
are
stuff
those
going
boots
on.
though? Aren't where like I think that matters, right? Look, I don't like that there are more Americans required to go. I bet there's not 20,000 Americans in Syria. Like
no,
in
it
Syria.
might be 2,000, 1,400.
Yeah, it's a couple thousand when he's right.
Yeah.
Well, they're fighting ISIS,
a mere
right?
battalion.
I think they're there in case. I don't think they're actually shooting their guns.
They're fighting ISIS. That's what they've been doing there for a while.
The U.S. just has to be everywhere because that's what they do. That's literally the U.S. is all over the world. There's army bases all over the world, and like a place like Israel, they're just like, oh, free army base. We don't even have to put soldiers. If you think about it like resources and like you're playing an RTS, you conquer that like neutral area, then it's just your boys are there, and it like kind of works on its own. You don't even have to put money into it. You put a lot of money.
You put enormous.
You don't have to put you don't have to put soldiers into it. You don't have to fill that barracks. It like makes its own. It's different. You know,
this Ukrainian
there might
thing
be
has
some
been
debuffs.
great. The Ukrainian thing has been great for us. It's been great for all the freedom loving peoples of the world. I saw that Russia's army just surpassed us, and they're now the second largest army because they've called up so many poor people.
Yeah,
they've called up. They're throwing so many people in. It's absurd.
They surpassed us?
They killed a lot of Russians.
Yeah,
with this call.
China the biggest?
Yeah, no, India, right?
Probably India. If it, it's just boots on the ground, right? But you got to get them somewhere, and nobody can get people anywhere.
Ukraine also showed the world that, like, oh, look what happens when your country has guns. When you have guns and someone comes to invade your country, it actually makes a difference that every door that's kicked down potentially has a guy there with a gun who shoots the first person. Now the next guy goes in and does it, but like the next house, they're all like, you knock. No, you knock. It's your turn. You don't want to knock on these doors because everyone has and in the US, like that's like another thing is like it would never be an invasion like that. They always said that if the US was invaded, I think the saying was that like California would allow them in. Like if the country ever got invaded.
The other thing about the guns, like it matters how you invade a country, right? If you invade it and you like liberate it and you make it nice, then maybe not every gun is trying to kill you. But if you go in there and you steal the children and you rape the women, everyone who lives there now is your enemy.
Well, but like I look at like Canada. I love Canada. I think Canada is great. Man, the history of Canada is recent. It's recent that, they had these fucked up schools that they were making, Aboriginal First Nation kids go to and trying to like make them forget who they are and everything. Civilize like that.
Them.
Yeah, exactly. This is like fresh. Like I'm looking back on this because, like I'm looking at all the Middle East stuff and it's like, I'm Jewish. So it's like, well, how do you start?
You're living in Eskimos,
that? Bro. I think about that. I'm like, dude, I'm going to think about like the land that my house is built on and how it got here. That's not that long ago. It's like very recent, like a couple of generations. It's like a couple of exactly like a couple of generations. Okay. Like this is like, and the issues with it like are so recent that I'm like, damn, I probably have like a closer connection to that than in the Middle East in terms of concept and perspective and how it literally affects me. You know what I mean? But it's just everywhere we go, humans, like it's like people are like, oh, I'm not going to do a concert there because this country. They did this and that over this many years ago. And it's like, okay, don't do a concert anywhere there, pal. Like everywhere is humans. Everything was conquered or lines drawn or sacrifices made or things like, what I mean? Everywhere in the world. It's just like, what kind of world do you want in the future? What do you want in the future? And I personally I like mostly compared to everywhere else, places like the USA. I like how it is. I liked how, Canada was growing up. And I'm happy. Like I have a ton of Indian people that live on my street. I'm cool with that. I don't have an issue with that or anything. What's that?
Feathers or dots? Dots. Okay, that'll do.
And like there's like that stuff like doesn't bother me at all. And I'm happy with it. It's just like, do you want to come and be in this country, or do you want this country to be where you're coming from? Because I don't want this to be that. You can't make over there over here, bro. Are you really trying to make over here there? You can't make there over here.
You came over here because it's nicer than over there.
So don't make here there. You're here's here.
So leave there at the fucking door and start.
Don't be bringing that there in here. Don't you dare be bringing that there in here.
Don't you dare be bringing that there in here. We got a nice thing going on here. We don't need that there over here.
But rest assured, Mrs. Woodworth, that not all of us are traitors.
She's gonna trade us.
I'm right now, Israel's done the right thing every step of the way. That maybe a little heavy-handed, maybe also a little heavy dog dick. But when you're fighting a war, bad shit happens. All right,
that's what she would say.
Kyle, you've been different ever since you went on that birthright trip.
when I put my hand on that,
they
wall,
gave you some big titty Jewish gal.
It's true. It's true.
That's all it would. Honestly, if there was a big titty Palestinian gal, I might be swayed back the other way. Like,
hey, looking pretty good.
Shows up next week in a fucking balaclava and a headband.
Yeah.
I've seen new facts. New facts in the form of big, heavy tits.
You like just have big tits,
Palestine, free Palestine.
big tits hanging over each shoulder, and you're like, inshallah.
Yeah, I really do. Like, look, the only things that I haven't liked, I felt like they killed a lot of civilians that they didn't need to kill, or they could have done things differently. And I know the U.S. would have done things differently. We just sent more like special forces in. Or we'd have done like a Fallujah type thing where you go door to door with a big force of 50,000 men and, you'd lose a lot of people like we did, but we wouldn't have blown up blocks. I didn't like that. I didn't like when it seemed like they directly targeted that aid group. They were in like white trucks with like crosses on the roof, and you could see the missile went like through the middle of the cross. She
had an explanation for that.
What?
She said that they had stopped the aid group before it arrived in its destination, like overrun, so they had to go.
Oh, well,
she said they what?
Basically,
I stand corrected.
There was a place the truck was supposed to get to, and it didn't get all the way there, or something. Like it was being overrun. So, I mean, you got to nuke it. It's your only choice.
They blew it the fuck up. And I want to say, I didn't realize, Israel could afford the best of the best, but they fly around F-35s.
Can Israel afford it, or do we kind of take care of that?
Well, a little bit of column A, a little column B. All right,
a lot of column B.
I mean, they're like $150 million a piece or something like that. I doubt we gave them all to them, but yeah, Taylor, I know we give them too much money. Yeah, I'm just learning that.
You give it, but you like count it as like the money. You're like, we're marking that down in the ledger. By the way, we're not putting 2 planes. We're putting the cost of the planes. It's like, no, put the planes. Just put three planes. They're like, no, we're gonna put the cost. How much are each of those?
If Taylor was operating the spoon at the homeless soup kitchen, it'd be a hungry night. It'd be a hungry night.
It'd be all half full bowls of broth.
Please, sir, can I have some more?
Well, I mean, at least that'd be feeding Americans.
Slap Rufus's fucking bowl out of his hands. You know what?
I'd be doing? I'd be carving up a delicious roast, and I'd go, "Here's the Israel money, guys," and they'd be going, "We'll follow you to the ends of the earth." And I go, and then I have a homeless band behind me. We conquer as we go, a Spartacus-style slave revolt.
Make it suckling pig. That way you can root out any infiltrators.
Yes, you know
they
what?
used to do that. They did that in Spain.
I go, hey, before you join the club, eat this bacon cheeseburger.
There was a bunch of Jews that were hiding in Spain way back in the day, and like it was in a predominantly Jewish area, and they got run out. So a lot of them just started to pretend they weren't. So people would invite their neighbors over for pork, and like they did it to root them out. And it's so funny because I'm just like, damn, like God wouldn't understand if you ate a little pork.